podcast, episode number 84. Yes.
Finally.
Yes. Do not adjust your TV set or your your TV set. Do not adjust your iPad or whatever you're listening on.
Whatever new futuristic devices come out in the 6 years since we last recorded.
Right. Yeah. Whatever you do, your computer, you listen to it, whatever. It's been the longest drought we've ever had to this point. We're back, and we're going to explain, where we've been and why we've been and what's happening. But the important thing is we're here, and we're going to do our damnedest to have a good time tonight and hopefully entertain you folks. So
I've been spending that Patreon money. That's where I've been.
Yeah, he's been spending it.
Me too. And honestly, the only thing I bought recently, I bought myself a nice fleece jacket.
Scott, this is for you, buddy. This is all jokes, man, because we mean nothing by it, and we're happy to be back, and we're going to give you a good show. Just you. No one else can listen tonight.
Did you say Scott?
What's his name?
I don't think it's Scott.
I thought it was Scott.
Ooh,
Chris.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Chris.
Oh my God.
Everyone knows Scott is a nickname for Chris.
Wait, Scott.
Scotty. Well, that was named Scott from now on. Try to give him a pseudonym
We should have kept him anonymous by calling him Scott. You're right.
There it is.
Scott. So anyway, welcome to the show. I'm Dave Z. These guys you heard talking, Christian was talking about Scott. Brandon was over there talking about fleece. We're back. And this is the year of the patron. Although we've been absent for one reason or another, but we're doing our best to make things up. And tonight we're talking about John Carpenter's Apocalypse Trilogy, The Thing, In the Mouth of Madness, and Prince of Darkness. And we have another couple side reviews, triple R's, if you will. And they are going to be see what happens
Demon
in our
Wind.
practice.
Demon Wind?
And Nightmares.
Oh, Demon Wind and Nightmares. Yes.
Dave, you scared me for a sec. You look confused like those weren't the ones.
No, they're the ones. It's just been so long since I've watched them that I forgot. But we're here now. I'm probably not going to be so great. Not that I ever am, but I'm probably not going to be on my A game for more than one reason. But these guys here are going to probably pick up the slack because, my memory has been documented here. I watched these movies over 3 weeks ago, and yeah. So, well, not all of them. I did rewatch 2 of them tonight and a half hour of one. So we'll see what happens. One I've seen so many times I don't need to rewatch it, so that's okay.
Demon Wind?
But yeah, it's the latest poster I bought. It's on my wall and everything. Yeah, Demon Wind. Huge fan. Huge.
I'll tell you right now, the poster art or the box art is probably the reason why I never saw this movie before this show.
Really? I love that poster art. I think it's cool. I love the colors. They pop.
Yeah. I think that's new wave colors. I don't know if they were that colorful back in the VHS box days. Maybe they were. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I don't remember from back then. I mean, I've only seen it in the last few years, so
we'll get there. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Slow your roll.
Yeah, I don't remember this being a box cover in the 80s. But that is
Well, it's 1990 this movie came out, but this movie screams 80s.
That would make sense why it wasn't a box cover in the 80s since it came out in 1990.
Yes. But it does remind me of the 80s, so I guess I just had that on my mind.
Yeah, it feels 80s too. It feels like it's
on my mind.
And that's Demon Wind ratings.
Well, let me think about this. The VHS for Demon Wind, I don't remember that being the cover. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the B, and I'm going to, they got a bunch of pictures, and sometimes you get to the VHS cover. Yeah. Well, you guys amuse yourself while I look, because I really have.
A rat-tat-tat-tat-tooey. A rat-tat-tat-tat-tooey. You fucked up again, you asshole.
Yeah, I did fuck up again, and I am an asshole. I just asked the patrons.
It gives everything to fucking the Watt. It's all about the Watt Z.
How is it about the Watt Z? The Watt Z is once a month, and on top of it, we're getting our balls busted by freaking Moods and Derek, by the way.
So once a month you put out more shows than we have.
Why? What's going on with them?
you should know you're in the chat, but then again, you don't pay attention to much of anything lately, so who knows? But all I know
I really have no idea.
I know you're not. I know. I'm being serious too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know you're not. They were busting his balls. They said it's a stupid name, and you know how they gang up on people. That's what they did to Watson. You know.
Whoa!
So,
Wait! Whoa!
maybe I shouldn't be saying this on the air.
Whoa! And I'm not. I can't. I'm being serious here. And this is nothing against the show. Please do not. I don't want people fucking tearing me apart. You can't complain about the Watt Z when your show's called the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror.
Right.
No offense.
And
no offense, because when I heard that name of the show, before I knew anybody, I'm like, what the fuck is this name of the show? And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm like, I'm not listening to that. Then I got to know the people and the guys, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm really not listening now. Jesus.
It's like I got a whiskey laugh there. Holy shit, that was funny.
Speaking of whiskey, I'm drinking vodka, people. I'm drinking vodka. I've been sober on what is the show 84? I've been sober on probably 82 shows that we've done. So due to recent circumstances, many on top of others, I'm drinking vodka tonight. So if I'm your usual Dave Z, well, now you know why. Hopefully,
in the end, let's just hope. I feel like this might be the start of a more consistent schedule for the foreseeable future.
The start? I mean, the return. We were very consistent.
Oh yeah, no. For
it just happened to be
years. For 3.5 years, we were every 2 weeks for pretty much.
Oh yeah, man.
The first 83 episodes.
In a nutshell, I don't even know what's going on with Dave, but in a nutshell, I'll tell you. For me, I was away half the month, and we've worked around it. It's every 2 years in July. My schedule is fucked, and we knew this going in, and we tried to work it out. And 2 years ago, we did it fine. We recorded right before I left, and I kind of edited the show when I was away, but we couldn't do that, and that's due to things that I don't even necessarily think we need to go into because they're kind of personal for everybody. So but that's the reason why. But we're back, and that's really all that matters. And I don't know if we have to really dwell on it too long, but I just there's legitimate reasons as to why it's not only we can't get together for 3 fucking hours or whatever, because there's more to it than that, obviously.
Oh, there's more to it, sure. Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, I want to say that we've all worked more hours this year or done more schooling or whatever. And I've been working a new job. I've been working a few new jobs the last couple months that have gone long, and a lot's been going on with work for all of us, or school, and on top of that, there's been health issues for more than one family member. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what, just on my side, my wife has been out of work for almost 3 months now, and she a long time ago had a situation. She had cancer. Okay, this is right when I first met her too, and it was very grim, and it got to the end. She thought she bought a plot and everything. It was bad.
Holy
she
shit,
ended up fighting back. Yeah, she fought back and she beat it. And now she always has to check things out every couple years. And there's been some incidences happen this past year that gave us cause for alarm. So she had to get tests done. She had to do some other things, and as a result, because she was still on probation from her job at the airlines, not probation for anything she did wrong, just because she had only been there for less than 6 months still. She wasn't able to, she missed work and they hassled her. They gave her some business. So she's been on suspension because of it. Then that means suspension means you're not getting paid. They said that she'd be on call, and that was just a jerk off. So bottom line, I've been working my ass off because of issues that have occurred with my wife. Thank God she's okay. She is okay. She's going to have to get
thing.
Right. That is the most important thing. I'm not saying it took us to the poorhouse, but I've had to work a lot to keep our heads above water. Our air conditioner broke. That's $5,000 that I didn't have, that I ended up having to, beg, borrow, and steal from other people to make it work in the interim. It's just been a lot of stress happening, and that's just my side. There's been other things which nobody has to talk about. I'm just saying that's just one health issue, and there's a bigger health issue, which I'm not getting into because it's not for me to say. But there's been things going on, and it all happened at once. And some things were said on the Patreon, and it's water under the bridge. Everything's okay, but it was a bad thing for me, and this isn't just about me, but I'm just saying it was a bad thing for me to wake up to and hear somebody complaining about something, because I've tried to say everything on the Patreon page, saying, hey, listen, we know we're behind. This is that. We're going to get to everything. I'm posting the shows and what's being reviewed in every show. Maybe they'll be once a month. Maybe they'll be more. Maybe they'll be less. But they will be done. If anybody has any problem with that, please pull your what you're giving us monthly away. We understand. It's fine. Everyone's going through things.
I mean, that's just a bonus. Like, I mean, right. Honestly, I'd rather not have any of that. The Patreon's supposed to be kind of a fun part too. I mean, I know you guys are donating cash, but that's really all it's supposed to be. I don't want it to be a make or break. And it's just shitty that it happened the day we were actually going to be recorded.
Right. Finally. Well, the thing is, he had been asking me for a few weeks. Many people have been asking for what's going on. When's there going to be a new show? So last week we were supposed to record a bonus thing just because we had no time to even for the movies. And I said, hey, let's do a 90-minute thing. And we were all set to do it. And then I told someone who ended up complaining this morning, same guy. I said, hey, we're going to record something tonight. It's going to be us. It's just going to be us. It's not going to be this. He wanted some new material. Well, they ended up falling through. Anyway, it has been tough for us to get together. And for me to wake up to that this morning and read that, and then on top of it, listen, I have tough skin. I'm not one of those thin-skinned people when it comes to things like that. I mean, I've worked jobs all my life. People could say anything they want to me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But when it comes to this show and putting things out, for entertainment or whatever, if somebody questions things or they think that, and I'm just talking about me here. I'm sure these gentlemen feel the same way, but the way my emotions are, my feelings do get hurt when someone thinks I'm being disingenuous, because, and I'm not patting myself on the back because I hate to do that. I really do. Ask anyone that knows me well. I do not. I don't take compliments well, but I will give somebody the shirt off my back. I will do anything I can for people when I can, to the utmost. And when someone thinks I'm being disingenuous, that is the one thing that fucks me up the most. And it does hurt my feelings, and it does cause me to think, I don't know. Maybe
I think that's understandable. I think we all do too.
Yeah. I kind of felt the same way. Yeah. I felt the same way a little bit. No, I just don't want anyone to think that our lack of production or anything or has anything to do with any malicious intent. It really doesn't. Dave just talked about what he's going through. I'm going through something very similar. A lot of craziness. We're all just going through crazy times right now, and there's no malicious intent behind not putting out the product. The product.
We're
just like products. An asshole. The product.
We're just products. Well, you know what? I think just so that we can combine things. I mean, the show's going to be long, like you said, Dave, one way or the other. But I think we can combine maybe a couple of the questions that were posted on the page, throughout the show. One or two. If we can't get them to all this episode, no problem. We'll continue on the next episode too. I have no problem with it. Because the first one's very easy. Christian, what are you on, and where can I get some of it? And that was from Rebecca, who's on In the Mic of Madness, another great horror podcast as well. Rebecca, this is a natural high, babe.
He's been snorting that bagged milk.
Yeah. Natural high. Am I allowed to say babe? Wait, this is the #MeToo movement. I mean, Rebecca. I don't even know what I'm allowed to say.
Well, hold on. Have you listened to Rebecca's show? They have the commercial for the pussy plugs on it.
Yeah.
You know how.
Which I bought.
Oh, what you bought? Hey, you need them, buddy. I know. We all need them. Yeah. So anyway, that was some, because I had been talking about quitting podcasting for a few days because when that thing went down last week and we couldn't do that little thing, it was just one more nail, and I was like, you know what? What the fuck? It's just been one thing after another, and then one little thing happened, and I was like, you know what? I don't even know. I just want to wrap this show up, get to 100, get done, or maybe quit till the end of the year. I was just talking about getting out of it, and then I said something because somebody questioned something on the page. Then it just so happens to be that the last 2 days I had been talking about that, and there's a little thread on the page, and then that thing happened this morning with the patron. So it's just been everything. It's just been this whirlwind of that on top of everything else in our personal lives. And then that came in, and I was like, what the fuck? Then I go to work today. I work another 11-hour day, and I don't even barely have time to freaking eat or do anything. I couldn't finish watching the movie I wanted to watch, but I got here, and here we are. That's the bottom line, is we're here now. I'm going to be sucking on this vodka. Whatever. We're going to roll with it. Hopefully it's a good show. I want to do the Ram Man a solid, because I know he wants us to talk about these movies.
This is for him.
And this is for him. And Ram Man has been listening to my shows and this show forever. And, I want to make sure.
Pity the fool.
Anyway.
Well, Marco also says, and I don't think this could be the episode, could we have an episode where Dave sings the whole episode? What is with Marco? Marco, man, I love this guy because he's very much on the page. He loves our shit. He loves 22 Shots for whatever reason, but he loves the singing. He loves when people fucking sing. Not me necessarily, but he loves your voice. He says you have a voice of an angel, Dave.
Yeah, boy, if it was before this last couple of days, I would have said I'm going to make that a patron perk and make it, and I'll sing the entire show. But I can't even joke about the Patreon page, so I won't even say that because I'll sound like I'm fleecing, So fleecing like Jackie Gleason.
One of the perks is going to be that we show up and actually record.
Insert more money for us to actually record.
Yeah, please.
You can't get together?
We are going to reach.
Sure, we could get together. Money talks, motherfuckers. I'm kidding, everybody. Half kidding.
To sum that up with that, and I won't get on it again, and I won't talk about it all night, but I realized something. We're going to restructure the patron. We're probably just going to have like 4 levels, and that's it. We have some ideas, but it's going to be restructured once and for all. We're going to do something that I think is a good idea that we all can agree on, but we're not overworked and we have to do 5 movies a show.
And that you guys will like too out there. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. But the thing is, this is what I realized, and I've been pining on it and stewing on it and looking at, and it's a big weakness of mine, and it's why I personally don't love myself. It's something about me that I don't like at all, and I stopped doing it, but I used to look at all these horror podcasts and see what they're doing on their Patreon, and that's how I would judge success. Not because of the financial part of it, because of, hey, how could this show get $800 a month? And we're in where we are. It isn't that I want the money. It's just that how come they have such an allegiance of fans that they're willing to get that they're willing to pay them out that much money. And I was looking at things like that because there are 3 or 4 shows that are like that aren't first-year shows, but they are to me because of what they're doing. But I mean, they're not like, they're not famous people. They're just shows like us, okay? And I look at these shows and I'm like, how is this happening? Then I thought, and it didn't occur to me until today. Those shows are weekly. We're not a weekly show. I can't expect us to get the kind of numbers in downloads or on patrons when we're not putting out weekly shows. So it didn't occur to me till today. Now, do they watch all the movies for their patrons? No. The funny thing is they have so many listeners. They have like 5,000 listeners a show, and maybe only 20% of their listeners are donating to their patron, but that is still, $1 here, $1, that adds up. They just have the voice out there. Maybe because they're weekly, I don't know. But I look at some of these shows and I listen to those shows and I say to myself, and I've talked about it on the air before, and it makes me sound competitive, I guess. And I wish I didn't think that way. But I know the work that we put into this show, and I know I think our entertainment value is just as good as those other shows, if not better. I've even talked about it with the iTunes things. Hey, these guys have a whole bunch of iTunes. We want to get to that level. Listen to that show and listen to us and tell me that you think that they're that much better, that they, not that I'm hating on anybody's show. I just wanted us to be on that level. And I'm happy we are where we are. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't want to come off like a jerk, but I'm bearing my soul right now, and that's just what these are my inner feelings, and I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book, but I do look at those things, and I haven't looked at those numbers in a while, but it does affect me. I'm very happy. We're the most downloaded show in the history of Horrorphilia. That makes me feel good. It makes these guys feel good too, I'm sure. I mean, it's great, and we love the listeners, and we love doing the show, but.
Well, and I gotta keep it going because you're spilling it out. I think you've said it all, man. I think you've laid it all on the line. They know where we are. We'll leave it there, and we'll get on with the show. There's one that I'm gonna skip over a couple of questions because if you're on the video feed, it couldn't be more relevant right now. Sam Edwards says, "Why is Brandon so pale? He makes Nosferatu look tanned."
Nice.
I know he's asking a question, but I just think it's funny.
No, I really. Did we ever figure out what it is? Because no. I don't. It's the brightness of my computer screen is what it is.
Yeah, but how bright do you have that fucker?
It's a computer monitor / tanning bed.
It's like 1,000 watts. Shooting it.
It's 1,000 wattsies.
Yeah. It's just about to follow up with that. Now I know this director, but I'm horrible with pronunciation of names. If you don't know me so well, Yordi, not his name. But what are your feels about? Was it Jaworski movies? The guy that did Holy Mountain and Santa
Sangria. Andre Jodorowsky.
Jaworski, yeah. I thought I got his last name right. Yeah.
Yeah, El Topo, Holy Mountain. I've actually never seen any of those. I've only seen Santa Sangre. I actually own the Blu-ray, and I enjoy that film. It's weird.
Horror.
Yeah, that's hard.
I've seen that in Holy Mountain.
I've never seen Holy Mountain. I always hear very mixed reviews about them.
It's fucked. It's like a allegory type movie. Like, I mean, his style is a little bit more absurd, or like almost like Phantom of Liberty director Crocker. I can't remember the name now. I'm going back to film school days, but it's definitely not as linear storytelling. So if you're not into that, it might throw you off.
Abstract.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely abstract, but I'm just saying that's not for everybody.
It's more linear. It's more linear Quigley, I would say.
Oh man, we're back.
We're back, and I do want to say one more thing. Thank you so much to the people that did come out and support us, that have said all these great things about us in this little whirlwind 24, 48 hours, and some of the things that have gone out. Some people came out and they said some really good things, and that means more than anything. That means more than how much a patron brings in and how many ratings you have on iTunes. At the end of the day, it's interactions with the listeners, and when people say, "Hey, we dig what you're doing," that makes me, the most happy personally. So
100%. And not only that, the fact, I mean, even though we got a little upset, we got a little hurt by what went down. Even that was in sort of like it was a compliment. Here's somebody who's like, I want content. It's not like they're saying stop recording, we hate you. It's somebody's like, put stuff out.
Right.
So it's it's really great to support.
And I'll leave with one more for now, and maybe we'll come back to this later, and we'll continue to do this as well. But speaking of positive thoughts and supporters, Christine, she wrote, "Has anybody watched Typewriter yet? And if you did, can you explain if this is a kid's horror or not? I've not even heard of this movie."
I've heard of it only from seeing her question, and I think I heard someone else watched it also, but I know nothing about it.
I think it's a show, first and foremost.
No one's commented on it, so I'm assuming that most people haven't seen it, because most people will.
I think it's a show. It's a show on Netflix, okay. I believe. Now, I think I heard this a few weeks ago. I think Becca mentioned it on Shockwaves. She was talking about watching it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she said it was a show. She likes to watch a lot of shows. So, and I based on what she said, I thought that I might actually watch it with my daughter, because I don't know what to watch with this girl anymore. Not even just her, but me and my wife and daughter. It has to be a show. I can't keep watching my movies all the time. And that's something else. I come home from work at summertime. It's me and my wife and my daughter. I do want to spend some time with them. It can't be every day a horror movie that I have to watch for a podcast. That's something else that figures in. And I want to spend quality time with my family too. So I try to do both. I try to watch something with them, and then I'll come in the basement if need be in my horror room.
Do you clean up after?
Do I clean up? Absolutely.
After you come in the basement?
I can't come in the basement. It's too cold down here, man.
You're right. It is a show. It's actually a Hindi show.
Oh, it's a Hindi indie. All right.
Yeah, Hindi indie show.
Nice.
Starring the one and only Harrison Ford, also known as Indiana Jones.
Awesome.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
Oh, that's good. Maybe it's a vodka, but that's a good one.
And we're cracking ourselves up again.
So last night I went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And
really, really fucking enjoyed it, man. Really enjoyed it. Cool. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to get into it other than, that's all I'll say. I'm not going to spoil anything other than there's a Teddy Savalas reference in it. I got his name right?
Telly
Savalas, sorry.
Okay.
Telly Savalas reference in it, which made me fucking howl.
Lisa and the Devil? It's got.
It wasn't Lisa and the Devil. It's just the fact that he's referenced, and it's not even that funny. He's just referenced to have been with them in this one area, and I think I laughed out loud in the theater only because of. I was like De Niro in fucking Cape Fear.
Oh, which I'm finally gonna watch this year for the show for Duncan's see, that's also taking up some time, but I could not pass that opportunity up. I listen to that show every year. He does a summer series, and we're doing the 90s this year. And the top 25 movies, we have to watch them all before the final roundtable to rank them all. And Cape Fear is one of those movies that made the 90s. And I've never seen that movie front to back. All I've seen is, funny enough, that scene with him laughing in the theater and the very end with the water rising. That's all I've seen in that. So I have to watch it now.
You never go front to back.
And you never go mouth to ass.
Yeah, you never go ass to mouth. What kind of dyslexic chick? Yeah. It's a waka kind of show tonight.
Yes, it is.
And by the way, thanks for the invite, Duncan. Brendan and I thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's funny.
You got to be on his page. You got to be on his page first.
That's true. I recently mentioned something like that to JP.
I'm on the Dunkin' Donuts
going to put in a word for me.
Dude, Dunkin' will work with anybody. Dunkin' is great. You just got to freaking get on the page and talk to the dude. And then more exploding heads representation.
I don't talk to anybody. I watch shit. I listen to shit. I don't converse. Right, come on.
Did you say Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I ripped that joke off. You said it, I think, a couple episodes back.
I might have said Duncan Hines.
You sweet talker, Betty Crocker.
So funny you guys bringing that up. Am I the only one that ever thought that Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima were fucking? They broke up, though.
They broke up? Yeah, you know what happened? Uncle Ben
is a 1 minute man.
Fuck Betty Crocker. That fucking cracker.
Sleeping with... Right. No, he started sleeping with Mama Celeste. He went for the Italian.
Mama Celeste, face up, you get a job.
I've been waiting 84 episodes for that joke.
I've been waiting for 87 episodes.
Oh, I got to wait a few more then.
What did you say, 87?
84. What a segue, Rammy.
Rammy.
Ram, here we go.
Ted Rammy.
Any relation to Teddy Savalas?
Oh,
man. I'm not going to fucking live it down.
Okay. What are we going to do first here? We're going to do a Carpenter, no?
Let's do it in order.
Well, we could do, we could do a feature, feature, or we could do a trip, feature.
Well, why would we change it? Let's just do a feature. Why do we even have this every time? We're like, and then we could do a trip, and a feature, a trip, a feature, a trip, a feature.
I just thought maybe because it's the it's the Carpenter trilogy, like there shouldn't be any interruptions in there. That's all I was thinking. That's fine.
Interruptions.
That's fine. All right, then I guess should we go in order?
Yep. Demon Wind.
Demon Wind!
Demon Wind is the first of the Apocalypse Trilogy.
Yeah.
Actually, it should be the end because I felt like ending it all after that. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe we should do it. Maybe B's onto something. And want to do that tonight, see?
Yeah.
Or is it heavy-handed?
No, let's do it.
We don't play by the rules. We can do whatever we want.
We just changed them within 1 minute.
Let's start with it. Let's start right off with Demon Wind from 1990, written and directed by Charles Philip Moore. With the need to investigate the mysterious death of his grandparents, Corey and his friends assemble back to the old farm where it all began 60 years earlier.
And that was the VHS cover, going back to that. So, there you go. Oh, but then you have this crazy-looking one from the UK, which, I don't know, look. That might have been the one we got, though, for some reason. That looks like something I would have seen. I don't know.
I vaguely remember the one that is with the multicolored demon breaking through a window. It never made me want to rent it. So I do have kind of the same sort of past as you, Dave, in that regard. There were certain movies that I based it on the cover and I never watched it. First time I watched this twice for the show because of the delay in the recording. First time I watched it, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? As I usually do with a lot of these movies. I'm not very forgiving of stuff. It is well lit for a no-budget movie. I mean, it looks a bit different. It's just very flatly directed. It doesn't have a good soundtrack. Those are the two, I guess, negatives to it. The soundtrack is just kind of like stock background music, and it's just flatly directed, because the bad performances actually work in this movie's favor to create some funny moments. But I love
I agree.
Yes.
It's a great party movie. It's a great. This is a movie I 100% would watch with my buddy and my brother, because it's perfect because. And I'm not saying the movie is perfect, but it's perfect for that group, for the three of us to get together, because it's still quality in the department of gore and kills, and it's still ridiculous that you could laugh at it at the same time. That doesn't happen very much. And I will say this, and by the way, this is for Scott. I mean, Chris. So there you go, Chris. You don't have to wait longer than anybody else. We did yours first. He knows we're busting his balls.
He's not at home going, those motherfuckers.
So yeah, Scott. Scott. Oh, it's funny because that's my buddy's name, Scott, that I watch the movies with. But anyway, this is one of those movies. It's not easy to do. It is perfect for that kind of night. And the first time I watched it, this is one that I actually rewatched. See, there you go, Scott. See, I watched it twice for you. Anyway, I watched it like 3 weeks ago the first time. And
Scott.
I'm calling him Scott because it's the joke.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, that's the joke.
This fucking guy.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes.
Scotty too hottie. No. The deal is, I watched it the first time a few weeks ago, or whatever it was, 3 weeks ago, and I don't think that I was in the right frame of mind. I just got home from work. It was daytime. I don't know. I don't think I grasped it. But last night or 2 nights ago, I sat down. I was in my basement. I was by myself, undisturbed, and I watched the movie, and I got more out of it this time. And I had fun with it. It's 1990, and it's obviously very Evil Dead influenced, but
a total ripoff.
Pretty much a complete ripoff. But I agree with you in the sense that it's a good party film. It's entertaining if you don't take it seriously, but if you try to really make sense of the story and what's going on and how it resolves itself, then you're like, what? I mean, it's almost like
it's almost like it was written on the spot.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
But some of that is what works as that party movie. Like this is not high art. Like I said, like we just said, it's a ripoff of Evil Dead. Very, very much a ripoff. But they at least try to wedge in some atmosphere. We got smoke machines going a mile a minute. There is some good comedy. I mean, there's an introduction to a character that a guy whips a can at. And the guy fucking hacky sacks the can up into the sky twice. Then roundhouse kicks it back into the guy's face.
Dude, that's one of the funniest scenes. Not only that, the fact that they show up as magicians.
Yes, it was great. He's a magician.
only to throw their magician costumes on the ground and just leave it. And not only that, they left the rabbit behind too. Yeah, that was one of my questions in my notes. What happened to the rabbit?
Oh, I'll tell you, you're right. And what happened to the bird? Although the bird came back later on for no reason when that one guy got turned into his childhood self, and then he got turned into a bird. It made no sense. It was great.
Oh, that was a different guy. That wasn't one of the magicians. Yeah,
if it was a magician, it would have made sense. But for no reason, the other guy, he was getting turned. Like, he was like a teenage self, then he was a young boy self, then he was a baby, and then he was the bird.
I kind of like that though, because you notice, like, when they were killed in when they were saved, when their souls were saved, they were turned like that, and you would see the white light, whereas when they were evil and killed, they would become like the orange light. So it was almost like his soul was saved.
Really?
And his innocent spirit made it. Yeah. So Jack was saved, whereas everyone else was sort of like doomed and trapped in hell.
Wow, dude, you took something out of this movie.
I know.
I think that's what the color differences represented.
Wow! Oh my God! He's giving this movie a Joey treatment already.
No, I'm telling you this. Wow. This movie, I'm not rating this movie ridiculously low or ridiculously high, but I will say it would have probably gone up a full point, maybe even a point and a half. I put that much onus on the lack of sound design and music. If they up the score, and if they had actual sound design for the effects, because there's like those ridiculous end of Hellraiser effects where everybody turns into like an aha video and stuff like that, and they'll disappear into big colors of orange or whatever. If you know the end of Hellraiser, you know what I'm talking about. There's no sound effects or any of that. And it's just a stock background kind of low-key music. So nothing really builds. So although the third act has a lot of gory effects and is goofy and over the top, it really could have elevated the movie had they actually put a little bit more effort into the soundtrack.
See, I wasn't so concerned about that, more about the setup. Because at the beginning, you have our main character, Corey's grandmother, who's a witch, trying to stop the demons in the 30s. And she's unsuccessful with it. But she has this book that is used later on in the film. And, of course, it has English translation because they're reading it in English. And all it takes is the reading of a couple of spells, and it's over. So it's really quite simple. Why didn't she just read the spell from the book, and it would have been over?
It wasn't over, though. They were unsuccessful when they tried. Remember?
Well, they left one behind. Some ginger who's in the hills just waving a stick at everyone.
No, but they got killed. They got whacked. There wasn't any success with the woman with the grandparents.
No, the grandparents were unsuccessful, but at the end of the film, the teens were very successful in terms of just it was overly simplistic.
The whole movie's overly simplistic. The fact that you're even I think even focusing so much on the story is crazy to me because it's really one note. To be honest, it really is. Like, I'm shocked that we're even going into this much detail.
But I feel like, it deserves it. I'm so take that. I'm trying
that's
to
what we do.
That's what we do. The story a little.
It is
Look, I'll tell you what my notes say.
Yeah.
The effects are pretty good.
They're freaking great. They're great. The sound design, I will follow it up. The sound design is terrible. It's like from 70s TV shows. Like, I feel like I'm watching Gunsmoke, It's bad. The punching and all that shit. And
I really wasn't paying attention to it, but I really feel like it could be overly emphasized as bad, especially watching it with a bunch of Carpenter films where sound design is always like off the chain.
Yeah, but I mean, for a low budget movie,
on fleece.
They obviously put a lot of into the special effects, and they were goofy. They're sloppy, but they were fun. They're fun and gory, and they worked. I mean, I already made a joke. I don't know if you heard like that one, but I loved you. And there was another after she stabs him in the head, or vice versa. She dies. There's another one. There's a couple of exchanges. There's a couple of exchanges that were absolutely ludicrous, but
totally
raised my enjoyment level like a bunch. Like it elevated it from being like just a ho hum mediocre film, like because it was so outlandish. The enjoyment I got from this is maybe not as high as what you got from Conquest, Dave, but it's getting up to that level.
Mm-hmm.
You're much higher than I'm going to come on Conquest than on this movie, but this was fun.
Conquest is more coherent than this, but this is fun in the sense that it's just you could just kind of throw it on at any time and just enjoy the absurdness of it. And it's one of those, and it's a film that has a beautiful release. I don't own it, but Vinegar Syndrome put it out, so a lot of people do own it. And
it looks good.
Yeah. Vinegar Syndrome.
I watched it on Prime. But
me too. Me too. But Vinegar Syndrome puts a lot of their transfers on Prime. I notice.
Yes, they do.
So, it's a film I wouldn't mind owning, even though I don't necessarily love it. But it's, even just, I know you're saying the characters, the lack of talent plays to its benefit, but it could be jarring at first if you're expecting a good film, like right from the opening scene where Bonnie's turned into a doll and nobody even.
That was great.
It's great, but nobody. It's creepy as hell, but nobody even reacts.
A talking doll at that.
A talking doll that's bleeding, and then they walk into the house, and nobody even mentions. Yeah, nobody even mentions that it's just a door frame.
Yeah, they're totally. He goes around going, "Wow!" They set it up. They show us as the audience. Okay, this is like a TARDIS house. Like they walk into it.
That's exactly
you walk around to the side, yet no one said, hey, this is an ancient room. This is like just the front of the house, devastated, yet we're walking into it and it's a full house inside. No one ever acknowledges it. It's crazy.
That would have been a great joke if somebody said, oh, it's a lot bigger on the inside. That would have been a good joke.
Or the fact that those two guys go, like, that one demon rips open their shirt and uses it seduces them. They're like, demon. They totally call it out, but yet they go out to try to fight her off.
Yeah, Chuck and Stacy, like, I know they were looking at that girl like they wanted her, but clearly they're banging each other.
Yeah, I think so too. It's so funny, Dave, that your cat is here right now because my cat just came and left. Like literally 10 seconds before your cat came into frame there. That's hilarious.
But Ginny was over here. She's been hanging out with me like as usual, and she was just sitting on the floor. I just called her over, and then she jumped up on the area.
But I think they were gay too, even though they seem to mask it with wanting that woman.
Oh, you think so? Well, they were pretty tight. I'll tell you what.
That's where the rabbit went. It's in somebody's anal cavity.
There you go, down the rabbit hole. Absolutely. Woo! Their dialogue was ridiculous, though. He's like, what did he say? He was one sick pup. And then Chucky goes, I hope they burn slow. Oh, that was freaking great, man. And the whole scene when they go out, when they get whacked, that dialogue was cheesy and bad. And the sound design is the wrong thing to pick on. It's more the ADR. It's just like silly. It's silly ADR. It's the stuff they throw in there. Like I said, it's like a 70s TV show. It's just odd. It's just odd choices. But it doesn't feel like 1990 to me. It does feel like something from the 80s.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Yeah, and I enjoy it. I like how they rip off the friggin' the Omen with the 7 daggers and the sun.
I actually read up on it thinking this must have been filmed like 83, 84 and got shelved and then re-released. And then I realized, no, it was shot in like 89 and released in 90. And I was really surprised by that. But you can't fault the movie where a guy roundhouse kicks a demon's head off. There's got to be some merit you give the movie. And it was before Dead Alive. With the whole kung fu priest,
it's got better gore than Dead Alive. This
Whoa,
to me,
let's not go crazy.
Hold on. I'm going to revisit that movie for the first time in years this month because it's on the top 25 on Duncan's show. So I do have to finally rewatch it again. But my memory of Dead Alive is that the gore is like goofy-ish.
It's goofy, but it's so amazingly done. Like there's two effects that back to back. That one of the ones where the zombie. The guy comes out through the dumbwaiter or whatever like that, and he's missing half of his body, only to be followed up by the girl that's screaming and gets the zombie hand punched right through her mouth. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mwah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it. See, every time I think about the movie, all I think about is like, me mum, and all that. And it's like Monty Python with gore. That's like what I think about.
But
he talks about it. Me mum and all that. Like, but the funny thing is this, and it's funny because Amy said it on the show where it made where they talked about it, and she said the same thing that I believe. She likes bad taste, and so do I. I've always liked bad taste, but Dead Alive didn't do it for me, and it's weird. But I found it funny that she said the same thing when she was talking about the show. So I don't know if the comedy's different, but I'll talk about that on that show. As far as this is concerned, I thought the gore was freaking top notch in the third act. Everything when everything got demified, dude.
How about when he turns into a character from what was that show? Alien Nation?
Yeah, I thought he looked like a cross between Rocky Dennis and Alien Nation. You're right. I like what the fuck
is this alien? Like what the hell is Rocky Dennis in?
It was gross. No reason whatsoever, and it was ridiculous. Like that makeup was bad.
Oh, that was so bad. Like, he looked like a really bad Star Trek character.
Nanu. But no, nice. There's some good demon makeup, but a lot of it is just like the coughing up the foam. I do like how they head fake you with it was all a dream, and you're like, no fucking way. Are they going to give me the Wizard of Oz ending here? But then it's just a head fake?
That was good.
Spoiler?
Yep, great swerve. I dug all that stuff. I had a lot of fun. I did. Did you guys notice that when they were inside in the climax and people were outside pounding, it sounded probably everyone's gonna think I'm nuts, but I had to bring it up. It sounded to me like clothes in the dryer. Did you ever put like clothes in the dryer that are too heavy, or maybe put
like
shoes in the dryer.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. That's what it kept sounding like to me. I kept thinking I had something in the dryer when I was watching the movie.
He's yelling at the wife, "Turn the dryer off! I'm trying to watch Demonwood."
Why did I put my shoes in the dryer? Yeah. Oh man. So that was fun. It was fun. It really was fun. I had a good time with it. Though I got to bring up one more before I wrap it up. There's one more point that I cannot go without bringing up.
Oh my God! Here it is.
Oh, you know?
Of course I know. It's my first note on here. Can I spoil it?
Go ahead, spoil it.
Dave, I wrote it here. Dave will bring up the fact that Corey keeps saying grandmother.
Yeah. I was gonna bring.
Let's be honest. Yeah. Let's be honest. He did not know her. He had no relationship.
That's why,
with her.
buddy. That's it. That was my point. That was my point about Halloween 2018. Because they weren't as close, because she was estranged from her, they don't have a term of endearment like grandma. That was the exact point I made. That's why she calls her grandmother, because they don't have that closeness. You get it? See, now that's what you would call her, your grandmother.
It seems ridiculous. Why did Corey have these special powers?
Yeah, they never explained any of that at all.
Why did his father kill himself?
I don't understand. Like, I never even questioned
Was
the
he
stuff.
haunted by the same? Was he haunted by the same?
He was born of a jackal.
He was what?
He was born of a jackal. No, not a jackal. That's an Omen joke. But he was one of the 3 that were born. Remember they said that she had 3 kids, and the other 2 they killed, and the other one.
Yeah, he was the only normal one.
But was he? And that's just it. What was the deal with it?
Maybe I'm overanalyzing. Yeah, but I knew the grandmother thing was coming back to haunt. I'm watching. I'm like, Jesus, he's saying grandmother every 2 seconds. This is definitely being brought up on the show.
Say it. People say it, especially when it's an estranged relationship.
Yeah.
Did you also notice the 20 jack-o'-lanterns in front of the gas station?
That's ridiculous. Nobody puts 20 jack-o'-lanterns in front of their house. I'm right on that.
What about trick or treat? 10 out of 10. The girl has like 50 in front of her house. You don't care about that.
Yeah.
See that bias? There you go, JP over here. Okay. Let's rate this movie, shall we?
Go ahead, B.
All right. I don't know. I'm not in love with this like some people are. Even though I kind of don't.
Some people are in love with this?
You know why? I'll tell you why. Let me jump in. They probably recently became in love with it just because it was released by Arrow or Vinegar Syndrome or something, right?
Oh, is that why The Prey now is going to get like a 10 out of 10 by some people?
It's typical. That's what I've been saying about the hardcore collectors, even though I'm a collector myself again. As soon as something gets released for the first time on Blue, everybody blows it. It's the best thing since sliced bread.
I'm just saying a lot of people I know talk about this film and say, oh my God, it's so much fun and this and that. And I give it this, I give it that. I'm like, you're nuts. 6 out of 10.
Right there with you, man. Exactly the same rating. 6 out of 10.
Interesting.
It's fun.
The first time I watched it, I was a 6.5. The second time, I had a better time. It's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay. And I went up, like I said, I went up about a half a point too. I was about 5.5 at the first time. I'm like, because again, I wasn't letting myself just have fun with it. I was like, this is just stupid. But then there is fun to be had. But I have to be realistic as well. And I think a 6 is a totally realistic rating.
Not Dave, evidently. He's rating like a hardcore collector.
That's the kind of fun I had with it, though.
No, that's cool, man. It is fun. It's a movie I could see myself eventually picking up, if it's like $10, $12. But yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, I'd pick it up for that price.
Yeah.
I probably only watch it twice, though.
Especially because something with a film like this, I think the reason the positive about picking up a film like this, it's a 6 out of 10 film. Usually, the special features are a lot of fun to watch on those types of films.
That's
where it's
true.
Like so ridiculous. It's like I got to see like what they went through making this, or commentary from if they have a commentary from some of the actors, or
Yeah.
that kind of stuff can be fun.
That's the greatest thing about physical media, right?
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I tried to explain the other day to somebody, about it, because like Family Video out here just closed. And I'm bummed out. Only one closed out of like the 6 or 7 that are near here. But I'm mad because it closed. My daughter went by it, and it was where we used to live. She was with my father, and she sent me a text, and it was a picture. And she goes, look at this. She goes, Family Video is now Dollar General. I said, what? And then I looked it up, and I Googled it, and sure enough, They went down, but it's funny because they're leasing it out. They still own the building, and they're leasing it out to Dollar General. And this is something that's happening across the country with all the family. So they're not going down. They're just, it's a new business venture that they're doing. Yeah. But I was bummed out for the simple reason that they had a sale. And it said they're going to stay open until July 10th, it said. But this is an old article. Or until they sell off their inventory. And here I am going, you got to be kidding me. I did not go to the freaking store. I didn't even know about it. But I was telling this kid about it I work with the other day, and it's weird because these two guys are younger, and they could care less about physical media. And then here's me. Yeah. It's weird because I've been critical of some of the collector mentality, but when you get right down to it, that is me. I am a collector, and I'm in full force again. But it's just like they don't understand it. They don't understand special features, and I'm more of a PQ snob than anything. But special features, man, you're not going to get that on a movie streaming on Prime. You're not going to get it.
I hear you, man.
The Demon Wind, the Demon Wind freaking Vinegar Syndrome. You're not going to get that when you watch Prime. You're not going to get the specs or a documentary if they make it. But if you buy the blue, you will. So
buy the blue.
Yeah, buy the blue. Damn it. Okay. All right. Well, there you go, Scotty. Hope you like it. The check is in the mail.
Scotty.
Nice. Okay. So we have the other Triple R. Now, this one I only got to watch one time. And, it's kind of an unusual movie. I think it's unusual because, and we'll get to the reasons why, but we're going to talk about Nightmares, right?
Nightmares from 1983. It's an anthology of 4 horror tales with a supernatural twist based on urban legends.
Can you guys guess why I say it's kind of weird for an anthology? What differs from this movie?
No wraparound?
Other anthologies.
Wraparound?
I didn't. That's a good guess. That wasn't what I was thinking, but now that you brought that up, but they don't all have wraparounds. I'm speaking more of the result of each chapter, the way they wrap up.
Okay, so 3 are positive and only 1 is negative.
There you go. Nothing is resolved. It's just like you think that there's going to be lessons learned because in some cases lessons deserve to be learned. Let's face it. These people are doing some things that, and nothing happens.
I looked at it like segments of like
say it.
Twilight Zone or something like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Not Twilight.
What were you
I
going to say?
understand that. This, to me, is the real Tales from the Dark Side movie.
Okay, that's another. I guess that's where I'm going with it but where I'm going with it is they leave it so you get that stinger, that unresolved ending, and it ends up being like the urban legend story being filmed and presented to you, and you're just left at that open ending with the whole lady in the car with the maniac on the loose, which was a great way to open the movie. Most of these were entertaining. I'd say
I like all of them.
Yeah, I like all of them. I think the one with Lance Henriksen's my least favorite, actually.
Yeah, I think that one would have benefited from being done in a darker setting, maybe a little bit more towards nighttime. I think the car would have been a lot more menacing if it was like red headlights.
True. You could be right. I mean, it was still good. Like I said, every segment here is good. I don't know if there's any that are great, but they're all good. I've never watched this anthology before, so this
I used to watch one a lot as a kid, a lot because I've always remembered specifically the second story with Amelia with the arcade. That's just instilled in my brain. Like I knew that story from start to finish. What happened? Even before I watched it. And it's been years since I've seen this. Years.
That kind of sticks out. That sticks out, that one with Emilio. I think that everyone knows this movie for that. And I'm not saying it's the best segment. And I don't know. It seems like when people talk about Nightmares, I think that's the one that they go back to the most, is that maybe because it's Emilio, but I don't know. It's video gamey. It's 80s. It's got that, in this movie itself, has that great intro. I love the intro. I mean, you don't see things like that in movies anymore with the title card coming up and all that. It's wonderful. But it's like, to me, it has the atmosphere and the resolve of Tales from the Crypt episodes.
Okay.
It really does.
You're way bigger of a Twilight Zone fan than I ever am.
Dark Side.
So, yeah.
Excuse me.
So I'll take your word for it. Was this a TV movie?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
No.
Why did I have it? I for whatever reason thought it was a TV.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
Wait. No. It was originally a network television film, but it was too expensive, so they added extra footage and released it theatrically.
Okay.
Oh, it has that vibe to it. I could see it. And see, I think I know what you're saying when you're talking about Twilight Zone, because some of the Twilight Zones, very few, but even some standout ones, did have that lighthearted ending. So if that's what you're going with, I could see what you're saying. I'm only talking about the atmosphere of it. It reminds me of Tales from the Dark Side.
I get what both of you are saying, but also even the lighthearted endings, there's still cautionary messages with each of the stories. So I mean, I think in that way it's super effective. And isn't it weird that we just reviewed Demon Wind, where the character's name is Corey, and the name of this fourth story is Terror in Topanga, Corey in Topanga?
Oh yeah, that show.
Yeah. Boy,
right.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
No? Am I the only one who thinks that? That's
crazy. Now that you brought it up,
Is you.
How is Topanga doing these days? Wow.
So anyway. the first story is clearly an anti-smoking campaign.
I love it. I
think it's great. I think it's super effective. I think when the cop is attacked is super suspenseful and creepy, and I just love the way this one plays out. It's great. I
agree. You get a great fake out. Fake out.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's very straightforward, and we've seen it, since then, and everyone knows the story, but it's still for some reason
very effectively done
and really well done.
It's a ghost story that I remember being told in some form or another, and it still plays out really great. Trivia question: what does this RRR have in common with our Carpenter trilogy tonight?
Okay, hold on. Apocalypse Trilogy and anthology movie called Nightmares. What does it have in common?
There's one aspect in this movie.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at my notes. Hold on. Let me see. One aspect in this movie. No. Okay, no, not that.
I love it. Dave has
it sounds like he's typing.
Gasp. No, it sounds like he's like, IKEA. I've got it. Eureka. IKEA.
IKEA. What?
Yeah, he's building a Chesterfield over there. IKEA.
Oh my god.
I mean, Eureka. I even read it and I said, I meant Eureka.
Eureka?
I got it.
Eureka, not Eureka.
Eureka.
What in the world?
He's still messing it up.
IKEA, Eureka? What is he talking about over here? Erica? What?
Eureka. I think I smell Eureka.
Eureka.
Oh, that's what it has. That's what it has in common. If you Eureka, you probably reek of Kaka, and Kaka was in Prince of Darkness.
Kaka, that was great. Oh, wrong movie, but still. I don't know. Except there's something Lovecraftian in it, but
it's an actor.
What? Wait a minute, an actor, and he's in all the Carpenter?
No, he's just in one movie.
Okay, well
that's why I draw a comparison. Richard Mazer or whatever.
Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Oh. Richard who?
Oh, Clark.
Yeah,
Clark and the Rat. Richard Masur.
Clark and the Rat.
Clark and the Rat. That was the sequel to the thing.
Oh, you're right. That was him. He was the father, right?
And
yes.
He still looks the same today.
And that's Clark. Watch Clark. And watch him good. Right. No,
we'll get to that. But
Eureka.
You know what? That's the one thing that bothers me about the thing is Blair is so confident about the one person that was never infected.
Okay, we'll get to it. Wow, you're right. How did I not make that connection? You're right. See, wow, right in front of our faces. Well,
going here.
Yeah.
So let's the Bishop of Battle.
The Bishop of Battle. I'll tell you what. Enjoyable, but I think it seems like it's longer than it needed to be.
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah, I do.
I enjoy it. I don't know. For some reason, it seems like it goes too long.
It does.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit. I mean, this movie's like 2 hours, is it not? It definitely, I mean, I know we have 4 stories here, but again, I hate to use it. It's not a critique. Well, I guess it is a critique. I feel like you could have tightened up, and this one does feel like it runs a little long.
Yeah, that's a critique.
No.
Yeah, I said it was afterwards. You fuck.
The only thing that I didn't believe about the Bishop of Battle is the one scene where the pretty girl is like, let's go for pizza. I want to talk and all that, and he's like, no, I'm done with that. You're 17. What do you mean? You're done with girls and going for pizza?
He's obsessed.
Again, anti-video campaign.
This is
video game campaign.
This is his horror movie.
This is the anti-video game campaign.
So this is a PSA you're telling me, disguised as a horror.
These are all public service announcements. Yeah, don't smoke, don't play video games,
right?
Don't abandon your religion,
okay,
and don't kill rats.
Leave the rats alone. Well,
IKEA, I've got it.
That is a funny one. The video game hustling and all that stuff.
Oh man, yeah. That gang was gonna kill him. I think they were literally gonna kill him.
I hear you.
That's JJ Cooney. He's the best there ever was.
I thought it was kind of funny how easily he broke into the mall.
Did they even show him breaking into the mall?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
He brought the screwdriver, right?
Yeah, it was just
the old screwdriver Reno.
I do, just as a kid, seeing that last scene, when the parents and the friend see him standing in the game, like that always terrified me as a kid. Like, it's a bit cheesy now, but it was definitely scary as a kid.
It is scary. No, I mean, I guess I agree with you. It is a bit cheesy now, but the idea of it is scary.
Yeah.
So those digital graphics, actually, I wouldn't even say are horribly dated comparatively to other movies. Funny enough, this was 83, and I wasn't like, these are not horrible. These work for the movie.
Well, think about it, though. It's a year after Creepshow. Think about the effects of Creepshow and what went on there.
I don't think anything can top the Bishop.
The Bishop is the best, huh? You can't beat the Bishop. Beat the Bishop. Here's your chance to beat the Bishop. Yeah, nice. You know what? When that finale with the Bishop and him and all that, and the way things were firing out with video game style, it's very dated, but in the best way. So yes. I can't really knock it. See, let me take it back. You can't compare it to Creepshow in that respect, but as far as the digital stuff,
saying Creepshow. What digitals are you talking about? The backgrounds in Creepshow and stuff, like what?
No, I just mean in general. You were saying about the effects of this movie being good, and I was like, well, compared to Creepshow, and you would say no. But there are different types of effects.
I'm not talking about the gore. I'm talking about like the digital arcade effects.
No, it worked. It did work for what it was, and it's very nostalgic. It's very, if you were there, it takes you right back to video games and the way it used to be, and that's part of the allure, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's very, it's very 80-ish, 1983 video games and what they were, and the only place you can go to get them. I mean, some people had some Ataris and things like that, but arcade, that was where it was at, man. And people are playing those games like adults do freaking play pool with quarters lined up and stuff. It was cool. It's good to see. But anyway, I didn't mean to sidetrack it. I was just feeling nostalgic for a minute.
What are you eating over there?
Yeah, it's like eating pistachios, for fuck's sake.
I am. See, that's the problem, gentlemen.
That's exactly what he's
You're right. Look, it is pistachio. See, that's the problem. This is the problem. If I drink alcohol, especially vodka, I get the munchies. So what happens is everything goes out the window. If I drink vodka, I'm cheating on my diet all night long. It's just everything goes out the window. All I do is eat and freaking drink. I can't just...
Dave, don't worry about it. I recently read an article about the dangers of vodka and that it's a gateway liquor that leads mostly to pistachios.
Cheers.
The Benediction. I agree with you, Christian, about that one being my least favorite, and it's simply because of the setting. I like Lance Henriksen's performance. I don't mind the story about a crisis of faith among a priest. It's especially relevant even today. You know, it's always going to be relevant. But you know, this satanic, you know, truck isn't really that menacing in the daylight. You know, and you really don't get the sense of what's going on and that it's satanic because you really don't get to see that there's no driver. You just see the upside down cross. But I mean, you can jump to conclusions and assume it, but it would have been better if it was at night and it was more menacing and more based on sound design.
Or a 50-50. A 50-50, because I mean, we already had Duel. We already had so I think, and maybe it needed to be the second segment in the movie. Maybe that the placement of it, because again, I'm not saying the video game one was the best one either, but it was really entertaining. And again, the nostalgia kicks into there. So then this one kind of just seems like filler until you get the giant rat last story. So I maybe would have switched them. I think it's all about placement in these anthologies.
I agree 100%. This one should have been the second, and the Bishop of Battle should have been the third. Yep, I'm with you. But it does seem kind of like, again, I agree 100%, filler. It does seem and Duel again is the comparison that I have in my notes. It's just, I don't know. It's very uneventful.
Filler, right? Yeah, and maybe like they said, start it. I mean, you're right. Maybe they needed the ending, the climatic, like part of this segment, to be at night, just to give it the menacing kind of final touch.
I like that part with the snake, though. That was funny in the beginning of it. Good stuff, man. There's some funny stuff, but there's really not a whole lot you can say about that segment.
It's very straightforward. It's more of a character study.
Yeah.
If anything. And it's, it's got a hopeful and happy sort of ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's just
the restoration of faith, it's nice in this case because it's not like overly jammed down your throat like it would be in the Catholic Church today.
Oh,
God.
Oh, Father McClarely. Body of Christ. I'm Oh, it's horrible.
My daughters are getting christened for the first time, by the way, at the age of 13.
Oh.
Yeah, she's being christened because my wife is, wants it to happen, so it's going to happen. I mean, it can't be a bad thing. I mean, whatever. It's just funny because I've been going to church lately, and they're practicing this and that, and they're practicing the communion and body of Christ, and when you said that, it took me to it. So, but yeah, Frankie's going to be christened as a Catholic, ladies and gentlemen. So, hopefully when I walk in there, it's not going to be like freaking the devil's advocate. And the devil's advocate when he puts his finger in
the holy water starts boiling and shit like that.
Yep. The opening day of football, we're having a christening. Can you believe that?
I think we should take like a 2-second timeout so Dave can get a louder snack.
Oh, sorry. I've been trying to mute.
No, it's funny. It's really funny, actually.
Try harder.
Try harder.
I got to be honest. Like, when I watched this movie, I said, this is an entertaining anthology. But I think you summed it up, B. And I'm not trying to take it or try to speed this up. There's not a lot to say about everything. They do come across as PSAs.
Yeah.
You summed it up perfectly.
They really are. They really are PSAs.
Yeah, and and again, it's nothing negative. It's a perfectly acceptable time waster. Maybe, like I said, maybe a little long if I want to be a nitpick critique. And I think a lot of that has to do with that second segment there. But, overall, it's enjoyable. I've seen definitely worse anthologies. But there's obviously other ones out there, like we talked Creepshow. I even say Creepshow 2. Like, this one just sort of hovers sort of in the middle.
Yeah. I like the last story, though, too. Even though it's so silly when you finally see the demon rodent. But it's so... It's so bad, it's good. It's, like, hilarious.
Well, take what I said about that segment of the effects being good for the time in video games and then just fucking throw it right down the shit tubes for this one.
Shit tubes.
It's just a catastrophe of effects, but part of its charm as well.
You sound like Leahy from Trailer Park Boys, the shit tooth.
I don't understand why the red hair would be in the sink. Can you explain that to me? How does that make any sense, especially when we get our reveal later? Why would red hair be in the sink?
It wasn't rat hair, was it?
Then what was it? All that hair they're pulling out of the kitchen sink?
Wasn't it the dead cat?
And why was the cat dead?
Because the big rat killed it.
Okay.
Why
was red? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait. What I'm trying to say is, if the cat's dead, why would it wash up in the sink? How does that make a difference? Was the cat killed in the sink?
No, maybe after the rat killed him, he flushed him.
He flushed him. I just don't get. That's the only question I have about that. Why was there rat hair in the sink? I don't get that. I don't know.
The nitpicks on this show sometimes. I talk about length a lot, which could be misconstrued. And then you guys are talking, why was the rat hair stuffed in the sink? I don't get it. The cat's dead. I always actually laugh. I'm like, why didn't I come up with this shit? I never even thought there was a problem with that. I'm like, yeah, there's rat hair in the sink because there's a giant rat in the house.
What is it? So rats are like cats. They cough up hairballs.
At night, he's sneaking out from his big hole and he's showering in the sink.
I don't know what he's doing, man. I like how the rat talks to the girl. That's the best part of the whole freaking movie, I think. And they communicate. I love that.
She wants her baby back. And that little girl, that was Savannah Smiles.
Wait, and that name is familiar.
That was a movie, Savannah Smiles. Bridget Anderson. She was a kid actress. She died very young. She died at 21 from drug overdose.
Drugs?
Yeah. But she was a really good kid actress, and she was good in this, and it was a fun watch.
I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I like the model house at the end. You could tell it's obviously a model house that somebody's playing in, and her talking to the rat, and they attack everything except for the rodent when they freaking try to go after it. I don't know.
This is an enjoyable, fun movie. There's nothing. It's a very, very innocent film. I don't think anybody could hate this movie.
Yeah, who doesn't have an exterminator that calls at 2:00 in the morning to warn you of a demon rodent?
I got one on speed dial.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that is great. It doesn't kind of remind you a little bit of Cat's Eye with the little girl and the cat and the thing. How it's
oh yeah, on the record player.
Oh yeah, right.
Isn't it funny that you bring up Cat's Eye? Isn't the first segment of that an anti-smoking one too?
Yes.
Isn't that the one with James Woods with the cigarette?
Yeah.
Yep. You're right about that. And am I wrong? And doesn't something else happen
rat at the end?
No, but there's a car accident in either Tales from the Crypt or the Vault of Horror in the first movie. And someone goes out to get a cigarette and they have a car accident, or am I wrong? If I'm wrong, I'm just getting.
I don't know if you're wrong, but I just don't remember. That one I'd have to rewatch and get back to you.
All right. No, maybe I don't know. For some reason, maybe I'm combining like three.
There's a car accident in Tales from the Crypt, but it's the guy leaving his family to go be with his mistress.
Yeah, so that's not it.
We call it Tales from the Crypt, remember? I don't know what you guys are saying.
Tales from the Crypt?
Crypt.
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 It's French?
Yeah. Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Like that?
Oh, that was good. He does voices, Brandon.
Yeah, seriously, Jesus.
Sometimes I do, man. I break them out, Barney! Is that okay or no? I've been doing that today because I delivered to a place. I was doing FedEx today because it's Saturday. And I delivered to a street. There was a house on the street called Barney. So I kept thinking that. Barney!
Can you say you just broke my glasses? That was another request from last week.
Could I say it?
Yeah.
Broke my glasses. Yeah. Hey, he just body slammed me and broke my glasses. That guy's great. We gotta get him on the show.
Yeah.
That'll
Can you just say that and then get the fuck off the show?
Let's do it. That'll be a Patreon perk. This is gonna be an exclusive. The glasses guy. What's he got going for him? Why wouldn't he be on a show?
What's he got going for him?
Oh, seriously, he's just some guy. Yeah. And he got his glasses broken by some freaking politician. He's nobody.
I'm sure that pretty much sums up his existence.
Guys listening right now going, fuck, man. I have a wife, I have kids. I'm a fucking nobody.
Well, he's better than me. Well, yeah, he's accomplished more than I have. Well, he is. He's in the media.
No, you've got glasses that are perfectly intact. He's got broken glasses.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't know what a body slam is either. That's true. Like Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. I doubt that this friggin' guy body slammed.
This guy got kind of nudged out of the way.
Oh, you just body slammed me. Oh, that's great, that guy. I love him. We got to interview him. I'm telling you. It's going to be him or Sherry Moon Zombie next show. How's that?
Sherry Moon. Yeah. Either way, it's a win.
Either way, it is a win. So we'll see. We're going to have it. Even if it's a Patreon perk, we'll do it. All right. Should we rate this damn movie or what?
Let's do it as a whole.
Ashes off.
Do you want to do each segment or do you want to just do it as a whole?
Let's do it as a nice big glory.
Which is James' job, which is why he's exhausted after 11 hours.
I wish. Fucking, that'd be easier.
Yeah. I just got to stand here and, whoa, hey, what's going on? Whoa, hello.
Hey now.
Goodbye.
Yes. So, I'll tell you what. I'm going to probably come in the lowest. For me, it's just a 6. It's just a 6 out of 10. It's okay. That's all I can say.
I don't know. Sorry. That's exactly where I am. I don't know. I'm going to be like the 6 guy tonight, I guess, because that's it. I mean, it's fun. It's better than average, but it's not blowing my socks off.
Right.
They're both on my feet. 6 out of 10.
Well, I happen to watch this film without socks on, so I can't tell if it blew my socks off, but I'm still a little higher than you guys. 7.5.
That's fair.
Ooh, wow, nice.
Stupid, but
really
fair.
Enjoyed it. No, it's fun. It's a fun film. I can't give it the same thing as Demon Wind.
I can. And I did.
Well, B has nostalgia for this film.
Yes, that's true. Nostalgia does.
Yeah, don't break your nostalgia glasses. That's the.
What if it was called Demon Queef? Would that brought it up a point?
Demon Queef. Ooh. Little gas.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little beef queef, a little whisper biscuit.
Did you? Whoa.
Gas.
Yeah, did you just invent gas?
No, gas is a thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was a thing. Okay,
I invented whisper biscuit, though.
No,
Did I drive my car on that?
No, I didn't.
Rock invented that years ago. I think he used to call Goldberg whisper biscuit.
He called the one Jewish wrestler a whisper biscuit.
Yeah, and you know what? The one time they were chanting for Goldberg because everybody thought that he had just been signed, but he hadn't appeared on WWF yet. Okay, but he just been signed and everybody knew about it, so they were all chanting it. The Rock was out there doing a promo, and he was a bad guy at the time, and everybody was chanting Goldberg, and he goes, so what? So what? You know the name of my lawyer? Or no, he says, so what? You know the name of my accountant, Ira Goldberg. He said. I love that, Ira Goldberg. It sounds like an accountant, doesn't it?
That is an accountant.
Fun film still. I hope, a 6 sometimes, it's funny how a 6 could be, I could be talking fairly positive about a movie and it comes out at 6. And then sometimes I'll be like, Don't Breathe. And I'll be kind of coming down on the movie because I guess I was expecting so much more and I still give it a 6. It's still not a bad rating in the big picture. I don't know why I'm justifying it on this movie.
I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying. Not all 6s are created equally.
You're right. Not all 6s are.
And I think it has to do with expectation also.
Yeah.
You know, when you sit down to watch a movie like Demon Wind and it starts off so kind of ridiculous and goofy, you kind of just set your brain aside and enjoy it for what it is. Whereas with Don't Breathe, you had higher expectations. It had the makings of what you thought was going to be, an 8 or higher, perhaps. And it just kind of fell short of you.
And I've come on the show since then, on Brandon's chin, actually. But I said that I've rewatched both. It was both Split and Don't Breathe, which it came in at 6s initially, and both went up on repeat watches. So
yeah, I still got to rewatch Don't Breathe. I have a lot of films to watch, but Don't Breathe is one that I have not seen since the theater.
Well, there you go. You guys, I can't believe you said that. Both of you. I was literally about to say, have you guys rewatched Don't Breathe? I think it's time.
Oh, yeah.
But she has, and it came up.
Yeah, I've watched it twice, I think, now. So, well, yeah.
Oh, more than I have even. Maybe you like it more than I do. Wow.
Well, it's going to be interesting because in a future show, one of our future Triple R's, I don't know if it's next episode or the episode after that, we're doing Devil. And if I have to be honest, I've probably watched that movie the most out of any of the new movies. It came out in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I've probably watched that 4 times already. Not for this show, but just 4 times. So it'll be interesting because I will be.
You have to watch it 4 times. There's only 4 people in the elevator. How confused can you be?
Nothing confusing about it.
1 in 4 chance of being right.
Fucking guy. This fucking guy. We waited to record for this fucking guy.
Wait, who's the devil? Who's the devil? It's not Doug Heffernan's mom?
Someone in this elevator has demon wind.
Hey,
Cookie.
It's
woman.
gas to you.
Gas. Too bad we could have made a shirt that said that. You know?
Yes.
Well, we're never gonna make shirts. We have all these ideas.
We just talk about them.
Yeah, we just.
We're barely fulfilling our obligation of doing shows. Now he's making shirts.
That's true. Yeah, we can't.
Just imagine yourself wearing a shirt of ours.
They've sunk off pistachios.
Actually, don't imagine it because that's a $10 Patreon perk. To imagine yourself.
Send us the money, then imagine it.
Oh shit! Oh,
do not imagine it without donating.
Don't even think about it. That's right. Don't even think about it. It's going to cost you at this point. Yes.
If you guys have a vision in your head, hit that donation button right now.
Son of a bitch. They're going to be, I'll tell you what, they're going to take it all back when our movie comes out. We're going to film our movie next summer, and then we're going to fund it with the Patreon money. And
coming next summer.
They're all mad. Only one guy was mad for a minute. So.
Yeah. And apologized profusely.
I know. For a minute. I know. I'm being too sensitive. What's the matter with me? Holy shit.
Chris,
okay.
I hope, Chris, you're getting fun out of this. I hope
yes,
if this is making you at all angry, this is not the intent. We're hoping that you enjoy this. Scott. Sorry.
Yeah,
Scott.
I'm feeling much better. Yeah. Thanks to Absolute, man. I'm feeling much more cheerful about the whole thing. So.
All right, I hate to be the Jeremy, but you think we should jump into the old Apocalypto trilogy?
I think so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Rammy.
Ratings?
Here we go, Rammy.
Ratings?
Okay. All right, let's start with The Thing from 1982.
Brandon, I'm sorry. You do your thing first.
A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. Now, this one, of course, directed by John Carpenter, stars Kurt Russell, and I'm a little confused about this. Which Wilford Brimley is in this? Because it does say a Wilford Brimley. It doesn't say which Wilford Brimley.
I think it's the one from our house.
Is it the one? Oh, so it's not the one with diabetes? Now, do you think he got diabetes from being assimilated by the Thing?
I'm warning you.
Nobody leaves this place.
You think that thing wanted to be a dog? It wanted to be us.
Somebody know what's going on.
No, get me a glass of juice. My blood sugar's dropping. No.
That thing's not dog.
Is that there?
You just broke my dog. It sounded like you were about to say, you just broke my dog.
That's even in my notes, I think, about the way he says dog. It always makes me laugh. That's not dog. It's like dog.
That's not dog. You got to enunciate there, our house.
All right, should we go right into ratings?
Yeah. I've seen it so many times. C, pardon me, B, I'm concerned about you because I remember you had a beef when we talked about it on the 82 show on 22 Shots. I don't know if you've come around on anything or just...
We'll get that.
What a dumb name.
What?
22 Shots. I'm kidding.
Personally, I like Celluloid Destructions better, or whatever that shit's called.
Cinema Attack?
Oh, that's the other one, yeah. Cinema Blend and Celluloid Attacks. Or what's this shit called? Damn it. Celluloid Dissections. Pardon me, I'm going to pimp it. Because Derek B., I do love you still, even though you busted me and Watson's balls. I still love it, especially because Miss Carly's on it. So, yeah. Yeah, Celluloid Dissections. They've done 2 episodes. Keep up with your horophilia hosts.
It was called Gash Gas, but they changed the name at the last minute.
Gash Gas.
Oh man.
Oh, I love it.
All right, so you talked about. See, you brought it up first, but Dave, you jumped right on board, and it's something that I'm not really like paying attention to in films that lack it, and that's sound design. Whereas when you watch a film where it's like, it's almost a character of its own, it really sticks out, and obviously the sound design in this film is just second to none for me.
It's masterful.
Yeah, it creates a sense of dread from that opening beat.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, just that's it. Yeah. That's all you need, and you know shit's going down.
Yeah, man.
This movie. Well, it's I'm not spoiling it because we've talked about this before. It's one of my all-time favorite films ever. Yep. This is it's just one of the best. What he does with an all-male cast and how you get to know the characters without it being forced down or shoved down your throat, which it seems to be a big theme of the night.
An all-male cast and it's not shoved down your throat. How do you pull that?
Is that you, off? Windows?
Folks, me.
I'm warning you.
Oh, thanks for thinking about it, though.
Yeah. I did. I'll tell you, for how many times I've seen this movie, his paranoia, I notice at all-time new level this time. Why can't
Palmer?
Palmer?
Palmer.
Yeah, Palmer. Like, I know he's always smoking up, but there's a bit of paranoia to him, and for whatever reason, I just noticed it in this movie more. Like, just his looks when he's turning around. I'm actually turning around thinking I'm still on camera here. I've had to turn my camera off because it's just fucking up on my end, the audio a little bit, so I apologize. But, yeah, I know this time I noticed it quite a bit. In a good way. I thought it was a nice little added thing. And I don't remember ever realizing that as much as I have before. The lighting in this movie, the sound design, John Carpenter's direction, where I'm going with it is the way he gets the shots framed. And it's Dean Cundey again, which I think he must have to go down as one of my favorite, if not my favorite cinematographer.
I'm with you.
Guy, Halloween, The Thing. He did Back to the Future, man, one of my favorites as well. You don't necessarily maybe think of Back to the Future from a cinematography standpoint, but the fact that he's a cinematographer on it, like those are three of my favorite movies.
Yep, makes sense.
It's awesome. There is a shot, the way the framing is, where the dog lover,
Clark.
Thank you, Clark. He's got the scalpel on the left-hand side of the frame, and he's holding it in his hand, getting it ready to attack, and it's just framed in the bottom corner of the left-hand side of the frame as everybody's in focus there. It's just beautifully done.
Clark and the Rat.
Clark and the Rat. Dude, I really have a hard time trying to wrap my head around why this movie was not an instant hit. I understand that at the time E.T. came out and people were, seeing a friendly alien and all that, but that's irrelevant to horror and sci-fi fans that are going to see a movie like this. And how do you not see all these technical aspects which are great, and the acting which is great, and the effects which are great? You have all these top-notch 10 out of 10 things happening.
Before the time, I guess.
How is this?
Not only that, they're unmatched at the time, and they're even unmatched almost 40 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, the effects. There's no film I've ever seen besides this one where the effects are absolutely fucking insane throughout the whole film.
The quality of this movie and the look of this movie, the lighting and everything, and I've said this before, again, broken record, the only thing that really dates it is the chess game graphics and Blair's little computer graphics and the size of the computers. That's it. Otherwise, I mean, of course, age of the actors and everything plays into it. But if you didn't know anybody, it does not feel dated at all. And their isolation up there just adds to it. Everything's great. You just get to know the characters. And I think one of my biggest critiques for Prince of Darkness, which we're going to talk about a bit later, it tries to emulate this, and it doesn't really work.
Yeah, too many characters and no development with a lot of them.
Yeah. And that was my biggest my biggest complaint with Prince of Darkness later, which I'll repeat later. And this one, you get to know you get to know everybody a little bit, and as it builds and the paranoia builds, you're right there with them, and they do such a great job of building it, and you're wondering who the fuck is affected, and who sets McCready up with the torn clothes.
Okay,
or are we supposed to get the idea that maybe he is? Because at the end there is the ongoing debate that that one of them is the thing of the way that they've been lighting. I've always wondered if it's the glint in the eye that they're talking about with the way that Dean Cundey lights the characters, and it gives you little hints of who the thing is. There's a whole video on it.
Yeah, and that was always a critique. That was the one little critique of mine, is I always wanted a little bit more of maybe a clearer path to look back and sort of see the order in which everyone's effective. But the fact that it could assimilate with multiple hosts at a time, it doesn't make sense, and I've sort of changed my mind on that for now. But with the clothes, and even before Max stuff, the Max stuff isn't the long johns. The long johns that Niles finds in the garbage,
that's
right?
Else.
He brings that in, but later in the movie, Max says something. He says, "Windows found shredded long johns." Windows didn't find them. Niles did, because Niles was the one who skated in and said somebody threw the nasty ass drawers away in the kitchen.
Right. I don't remember Windows that he said Windows said.
Yeah, he said Windows found shredded long johns.
Well, that's a fuck up then. That in the dialogue that wasn't
0
edited
out of
out.
10.
Wow, that's weird.
0 out of 10.
E.T.'s better. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's. I mean, if I really wanted to pick one major critique, there's two things that I could think of, and it doesn't affect my enjoyment at all. He must have taken the Blair assembling the spaceship in the basement there, because they didn't really establish how long he was down there. Yeah, he must have taken them from the helicopter. Where did he access the helicopter? How did he do all this? And he's still down there and whatever. One thing, I mean, I'm not losing sleep over it. The other thing would be that in 1 second, like, you've got Blair at the end giving the guy the old hand into the face, and then the next thing he turns into a huge fucking monster that pops through the ground. Now, I don't hate that, because that monster is fucking amazing, and it's some great effects, and it's just like a combination of everybody. Because this movie, if one thing about this movie is the effects are almost perfect.
Yeah, it's weird that the one lacking effect is the Gary kill with the fingers in the face. I mean, it still looks icky, but it could have just been bloody and violent.
Well, yeah, I at that point, I think they're just trying to get to the end, but they almost needed like a gateway before it becoming a big, huge monster.
Pops
through the ground.
And when that monster pops up, it's awesome. But again, I didn't even think about it, but because Max sees Blair running with the axe, and then the next thing you know, he's 2 seconds later, he's at the chopper, and it just looks like it's been axed up. It doesn't look like parts have been taken, and he's got a perfect, flying saucer down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. I'm not losing sleep over it. No movie could absolutely be picture perfect, as we've established, but it's what is perfect to you, and from a presentation wise, and from a story wise, paranoia wise, and there are that dog scene and the scene with the defibrillator. To this day is mwah.
Oh.
When that stomach just tears open. It is a mouth-dropping gore scene. Where any part of the body can become a monster or an alien, a part of the alien. The head ends up dripping off the side of the fucking table and turns into a spider. And then
amazing right there. Oh.
And then the blood test, possibly one of the best jump scares ever.
Yep.
Just with the squeal, not even a stinger.
Yep.
The stinger is the squeal of the alien scream. Of the blood reacting. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully
I like
built
that
up.
better.
Sorry,
I like
Dave.
the blood test. No, I'm just saying, I like the aftermath of the blood test better than the autopsy scene. Everybody talks about the autopsy scene, but I think that the aftermath of the blood test and the way everything goes down there with the kill in that room at that time, I think that all that stuff is better a little bit than the autopsy scene. But nobody seems. I think maybe because
autopsy
the
or the defibrillator.
Test, what's that?
The autopsy you talking about, or the defibrillator? The autopsy. Okay.
I'm well, the autopsy is another thing. I'm talking about the blood test. I'm talking about when they take the blood test and the thing jumps out.
Yeah.
And all that shit goes down, and the guy gets picked up by the freaking thing, and he's being in the air. All that crazy shit. I think that whole effect and that whole scene is better than the defibrillator scene. That's just me. No one ever talks about that, but I think because everybody's so hung up on the actual blood test itself and the jump, you know what I mean, that they forget about the cool shit that happens after it. But the head with the spiders, that was my first impression of this movie as a kid. So I'll never. That's always gonna weigh heavy with me. I was flipping channels and I caught that as a kid on HBO or something, and that whole thing. You got it.
Palmer's transformation is awesome, but I don't know why. I just like, it's not bad or anything, but I just kind of laugh that Windows is just kind of stands there frozen and then just gets swung by the head, you know.
Well, I think he just is frozen in fear. And he tries to shoot his flamethrower, excuse me, and it's malfunctioning. But then his head just rips open as like a Venus flytrap head, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, Palmer just his eyes bulging out. Oh.
Even going back to the flying saucer thing, I think the fact that, you know, the capacity of what the thing is capable of, the fact that it's never fully understood, makes it acceptable. Because there's some things where you could be like, well, what happened there? You know, what happened with Fuchs? Like, did he set himself on fire? Like, what happened? Like, I think that adds to it. Sometimes no explanation hurts a film, and sometimes it helps it. And I always thought, you know, previously when I reviewed the film, that I would have liked a little bit more explanation, a little bit more clarity as to who's being infected at times, so I can make a little bit more sense of it. But thinking about that now, I'm thinking to myself that it would hurt the film now, because horror film fans are smarter. So newer groups seeing this film would probably see it very obvious if there were hints as to who's the thing.
Yeah, and nowadays
it would stick out.
I think nowadays they wouldn't have the faith in the audience, so that they would overdo it.
Yeah,
I don't think they would. I think they'd be too overt, and I think that's what shows a master hand in the sense of, let's do this more subtly, and that's what wins me over with this as well. Again, I'm generally speaking, of course, not every new filmmaker is going to do that, but for the most part, from a mainstream standpoint, you can almost guarantee that they're going to kind of clobber you over the head with the answers.
Yeah. But even if they did it then subtly, I still think people are smarter now and can pick up on it. You know, like the Friday 5 thing.
Yeah.
The first time we saw it, nobody knew it was Roy. Now you watch it, you're like, how the hell did I not know it was Roy? I mean, it's like that.
And it's funny that I think Dave said he was flipping through, because I remember I was at my buddy Chris's place, not Scott, Chris, and it was on. We didn't have HBO at the time, so it was on First Choice, which was our movie network. You had to pay for a subscription-based one because it gave you better movies. And I remember watching it at his place, and I saw that dog scene. I remember going, "Oh my God, this is absolutely terrifying." And I don't even think we made it to the end because I had to leave or whatever. And I said, I've got to rent this movie. And I was a fan out of the gate. Same thing. The one movie I compared this to, in a very bizarre way, and I'll hopefully link back to it so you understand why. Scarface. Scarface with Pacino was not well received at all when it came out. It didn't do very well. It was critically panned, and it built this following, a cult following. Unfortunately, I think I don't know if it's unfortunate or what, but I think there's a hip hop culture bought into it, and that's what escalated the popularity to Scarface. But I love Scarface when I saw it way back when out of the gate. I just loved it. It was epic, and The Thing was the same thing. I just loved it. I was mesmerized. I was terrified. I didn't even know about the masterful direction and everything else at that point. I was just looking at it as a film and as an experience, and it was only upon multiple viewings and of course becoming more of a film fanatic that you start to develop all these feelings and then look at it from the filmatic standpoint as well. But it's a masterpiece across the board. And
it really is. And it's strange because when I think of John Carpenter, I always talk about how like I was into Freddy and Jason as a kid, but I never got into Halloween till much later. And in terms of John Carpenter's work, there were really only 2 films of his that I grew up watching. Well, 3 films that I grew up watching, religiously. 2 of them were Big Trouble in Little China, and the other was Starman, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into these other films until much later, and I'm just like, kind of kicking myself now. Like I wish I had been exposed to this as a kid.
Well,
I don't remember how old I was the first time I saw this, but I definitely wasn't young enough to be like as terrified by it.
Well, I was 8 when it came out.
I was terrified and exposed to it the first time I saw it, in just that scene that I saw, but I didn't know until years later what it was that I had seen. When I watched the thing again, I'm like, that was that movie. You ever have those instances in your life when you watch a film when you're a kid and you see it in passing, right? You're like, what was that movie? Actually, that guy, remember that guy sent us an email? Or no, he didn't do that. My friend sent me a message on Facebook. But still, you come across something, you just see a scene or whatever, and you don't know what it is. And years later, if you're lucky enough to see it again, it's just like happened with Eric Webster when we were talking about whatever movie that was. And it came, The Final Terror. You know, you see something from it, it sticks with you, and you don't know what it is. Then you hear someone talking about it, or you come across it again, and you actually watch the film. You're like, wow, that was what it was. And it's weird because a lot of times you think about your memories from a film, and it's not that way at all. Did you ever have that happen? Like something that you saw once, right? And then you go back and watch it, and you may have known that was the film, but your memory of that film ends up not being that. That's just the weirdest thing. But I'll tell you, I'm glad I got into this movie when I did, because this is an adult film. I mean, my daughter happens to love it.
Triple X.
It's geared towards adults for the most part. I mean,
which could be way bombed in the slasher craze.
Yeah.
Teeny boppers.
True.
You know, maybe that's why. But you're right. This is adults. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Actually,
so was The Fog.
In the Triple X version, Kurt Russell's character is BJ I'm Ready, not RJ McReady.
Wow. Thinking on his feet.
Not all of them can be winners.
What was it called? Instead of The Thing, it was called His Thing? Yeah. Or what? It was John Holmes is the lead. He has a beard just like Russell.
What are they things to be sucking my thing?
Nobody's getting out of here. Nobody's getting in there. How about that thing with what's his name though? I think it's so funny when you see the noose hanging in the background of freaking Wilford Brimley when they go and visit him. But when Kurt Russell goes back and sees him, and you see the noose hanging in the background, like he's actually contemplating hanging himself. Because I don't think at that time, that's the funny thing. At that time, I don't think he is infected, and he legitimately is trying to get back. He's like, I'm okay now. You know, I flipped out before, you know. But then as time goes on, somehow he does get infected. And let me throw this back at you. We started this whole thing off talking about the mystery of the ripped clothes in the garbage and what happens there. This is what's always bothered me, and maybe you guys are going to know what it is. How come that one scene when McCready says, because last night when I went to bed, my light was off, and he points up and the light is on. Is that ever addressed as to what happens there?
No, but maybe that's someone went up there and that's what they're framing McCready or whatever. I mean, that could be just what they
went up there to get his jacket to tear it up and frame it as him, right?
Okay, so do you think somebody went that extra mile to frame him?
Yes.
A person?
A thing.
Okay, so you think a thing has another motive besides just assimilation?
Yeah, because clearly, clearly Norris is acting, you know.
Well, yeah, he doesn't know any better. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. But do you think that they have a thought besides reproduction and taking over? Like let's deceive somebody?
Yeah, I think it can blend and deceive. Yeah.
Wow.
Blend and deceive and attack when it wants. I think the not knowing. I think it's much more powerful and dangerous than even they understand. And that's why I can totally get behind the fact that this spaceship is being built. You know.
I mean, it's a little. That's why I figure he may have been affected a lot sooner than that too. But I love that noose hanging in the background. I thought they put it there like, if you want to do it, you could do it, Blair. Feel free.
Well, they put it there. They lock him in there.
I know.
Who else would go in there?
Well,
he's considering it.
You could take it as him being affected either way, Blair, because you could take him destroying all the machinery as a way of saying, you guys aren't going to communicate what's going on, and I'm going to kill you all, and then get out of here when the rescue chopper comes, or I'm destroying the machinery because we can't let this spread to the world because of the calculations I just ran.
I don't think he plans on leaving the place either. I think he plans on destroying the machinery, and anybody else there, just face it, you can't leave this place. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, but that's if he's not infected. If he's infected, I think his mindset could be, I'm going to kill you all. You're all going to be picked off one by one, and then I'll lay dormant until rescue comes, because eventually they'll come. He even says they're coming in the spring.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I just figured he was just trying to be righteous, and I think he was kind of right.
I take it as righteous.
Right.
I don't think he is infected at that time.
Right.
But again, I think the not knowing, whereas in the past I've said, maybe I would have liked a little bit more clarity. I think, fan theories and all these different ideas that people come up with for this particular film make it more fun, because nothing that people are coming up with gets to the point of like stupidity or being absurd. I've only read stuff where I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. It could be that. Could be that.
You know what I've noticed? You know what I noticed this time is the dropping of the keys. The keys, and it comes into question later with the blood and all that. You guys noticed that before with the when Windows drops the keys when he hears Bennings outside, that whole scene, you just hear the noise of a key drop right when he runs outside, and they fry Bennings. Yeah, so that explains somewhat as to what happens with the keys and the blood and why it was drained, because it doesn't make any sense if you look at just the facts that were given at that moment.
There's also a theory that Gary did sabotage it because everybody's worried that they're going to be exposed as possibly being infected. So there's a paranoia going around too of not knowing if you're infected or not. And so, because he even says, I know you're the only one that could have gotten to that blood or something like that. So I'm the only one with the key. The doc has access, and Gary's the one that holds the keys.
Yeah, so why does Windows have keys?
That's what's weird about it. There's things at hand here. There's things at play. I don't know.
You're right,
I think
because they do a sound design with it as well.
Yes, it's done intentionally, just like that. They show the shadow when the dog walks in their room of the guy turning. You know who that is?
I still can't figure it out. Who is it?
You're not supposed to. It's a crew member. It's not an actor.
Okay, I was going to say, because that shadow resembles absolutely none of the characters. And you know what?
Carpenter did that.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And you know what? If that's the case, that's fine. Because I always look at that and I'm like, which character is that? And I'm like, this shape of the face and the hair, this is none of them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Knowles and Palmer are the first people that are alone, just the two of them, and the dog is there in the beginning. So if anything starts, it starts at one of them.
I started at the table. That's why he says, "Can you get rid of this damn dog?" And he's the first one to turn, right?
But I'm saying alone, when they're just no one else is around but them two.
That's Bennings, who's the first one to turn.
Bennings is the first one to turn, yes. But what I'm saying that we know of, but I'm saying that Knowles and Palmer are the first ones that are alone, where something could happen. Maybe the two of them freaking got infected. We don't know. They're alone. There's nobody else around. There's nobody to vouch for anybody. They're alone. Anything's possible. Yeah, I was trying to look to see about, because I remember what your lone critique about certain things, about who's the thing at what time and this and that. So I was trying to look at how how it spread and what was going on, and
where did Childs go? I know he has a half-ass explanation at the end. He's not there for any of it. He disappears and he just shows up at the end for that really great ending.
But it's done with
maybe we should just hang out here for a while.
Oh, it's amazing.
Do you guys, in your opinion, think one of them is the thing?
Yes, one of them has to be. I don't know who. I'm not gonna tell you who, and John Carpenter isn't gonna tell us who. So, and nobody really knows.
So you definitely think one of them is the thing.
Yeah, it has to be. Why would it not be at that point?
Well, I mean, the whole theme of the film is paranoia. I feel even more so than the creature, even though the creature is amazing. It's more about the paranoia, how quickly, everyone turns on each other. And they, regardless of whether one of them's the thing or not, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but they don't even know if the thing's inside them. Just like what's the name didn't know. When he said it, when he's like, guys, I don't really feel up to this. That was why. And then he collapsed, and then you think he was getting sick, and then the thing pops out of him. You know, Norris. He didn't know. He didn't know the thing was inside him.
Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck. Chuck, the guy that did the karate kick and freaking Demon Win.
Chuck Norris. That was Chuck Norris.
There's another connection. You know? How about that speech, though? That whole thing is awesome. I know I'm human. You know, with McCready. That shit's great.
Yeah.
And I know some of you are human, or else you just attack me right now.
Right. That whole thing is great. The dog scene is pretty much epic. The effects in that scene are dude, I watched that scene, and then I think I watched Stranger Things a few days later, and I'm trying to convey to my daughter, and honestly, and my wife a little bit for that matter, about the difference between practical and CGI, and saying, we just saw something very similar to this a couple of days ago when we watched The Thing. Look at how that looks, and look at how this looks, and you cannot tell me there's any comparison between the two. There's just not. I don't think that's nostalgia talking. I don't think that's a child of the 70s and 80s talking. I think those are facts. I don't think that's opinion one iota. You look at that scene with the dogs and what goes on, and you watch some CGI fest thing now, and try as they may, it's not going to look like that.
No, and because you actually, there's an emotional connection there that I think would be lost if the CGI is not top notch, and usually it's not. And because even when I watched that dog scene again this time, I'm like, "Fuck, man, it upsets me."
Wow.
And I love how close Clark is. Like, no, like he hates.
It's
the fact
funny.
That,
that makes me laugh every time. He's that obsessed with the dogs.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care that human beings around him are dying.
He doesn't care that they have Twizzlers growing out their backs, but he's just like, we have Twizzlers.
He killed the rest of the dogs, and then he runs away.
Another. I know they don't want to burn the place down, but let things burn a little bit longer before you extinguish them. At the beginning, they do.
Yeah.
At the beginning, like the first one or two burns, it's like they fire it up, and then it's like they come in with the extinguishers like 10 seconds. Like I'd let that thing fry a little bit.
Yeah,
I understand.
Benning should have still been alive. They extinguished him before he even lit him up. But that scream. Oh,
thank you.
Oh,
yes,
another moment. Yeah.
Yes, that to me that is more haunting than the scene everybody talks about, which is at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1978 or something. Everyone talks about the point in this. I think the Benning's thing is way more freaking creepy.
Oh, he's got the hands too, and this is eyes.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. The Mandingo version. It's not his hand pointing. But when McCready comes back from the cold after he's been quote unquote cut loose, I had to cut him loose.
Cut me loose.
How creepy does he look before he lights up that flare? He looks like he's the Thing there. Cut me loose. That's great because he's so worried that Gary could be infected. He's like, get me away from this guy. The paranoia is at an all-time high there. And then they followed up with that joke, like, I know it's been a long day, but I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch.
I love it.
If you can find it in your hearts, it just every time he delivers that line, I laugh out.
Me too, dude. It really is
a perfect comedic moment without being over the top comedic and taking you out of the movie, but to give you a little bit of relief before the end.
Wait, Dave, who did you say was the first character that the dog was alone with?
No. The first two characters alone together, where it could have happened, were Knowles and Palmer.
Knowles. Huh. And Knowles just disappears at the end. You never see him get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. And he's the one who supposedly finds the shredded clothes in the kitchen.
It's a lot to think about.
Oh,
and
man.
Carpenter has the answers. And I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna
He does have the answers though.
He won't give it though.
But he has them.
He has the answer. He says there is a definite answer. And apparently Kurt Russell has the answer too. I don't know if he's making that up, but that's what he says. He says he knows.
I asked him, I said, Kurt, give me the answer. It's like, yeah, fuck you too. And that's what I got from him.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Like, thanks, Kurt.
Amazing. We should have put him on the phone line. We should have made that a skit. We could have called him. And we have Kurt Russell on the line right now. Kurt, you said you're finally going to come clean. You have the answers. You talked to John, and you are going to tell us, the listeners of the Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, exactly who is the thing at the end of the film. Please, sir, let us know. Yeah, fuck you too. That would have been great.
I don't know what to say. What else could be said about this movie? I've read reviews where they say that it's shallow characterizations, and I don't see it. I mean, there's enough here. These group of guys are stuck here together. I think they do enough with everybody that you get a little bit of of an idea of who they are. Some separation, like I said, maybe the setting and the fact that they're all stuck in a base and the isolation there is why this works. And I find that's what doesn't work in Prince of Darkness, where there seems to be such a disconnect, even though they're in one area in that movie for the last half of it. But there's
sort of just standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a disconnect in that film where it does seem to work here. And I feel like you do get enough. I get enough. I've never been disappointed with the characters in this movie.
Yeah, I've never felt that you could call them shallow. I think if anyone wants to critique and say, well, maybe they're underdeveloped and I'd like a little bit more, I'd say the mystery of the film is better because you get just enough and not too much. I don't want to know personal stuff.
No, dude, this is right on the money, and I never even thought about comparing. It never even crossed my mind to think about Prince of Darkness, and the Thing, in that way to compare them.
Oh my God, I couldn't stop thinking about it this time watching it. And
then
there's
why
so
not
many
compare Night of the Demons to it? I mean, what?
No, because it's just, again, I actually had to double check to see if Dean Cundey did Prince of Darkness, because it almost felt like it was, but it wasn't.
Yep.
And again, that's a credit to John Carpenter. There's a certain aesthetic and look that he wants, that he conveys, and then the cinematographer makes that a reality. And there is a comparison in that regard. There's a comparison in just the sort of way the movie progresses as well. And I think he tries to give Prince of Darkness that kind of non-ending, but it's not as successful as how the Thing ends.
About that satisfaction thing, I think there's satisfaction in almost being unsatisfied but not knowing. It drives you crazy, but it's like, oh, next time I'm gonna figure this out.
Right? Yeah, you're right. You go back looking for things.
Yeah, every time, and I've shown my cards simply, from the beginning of this review that I've really changed my mind on that little critique I had from the '82 show. So.
Which is wonderful. Glad to hear.
How about they're both the Thing? Because if one of them's infected, based on how they were describing infection can happen, they're sharing a bottle of whiskey at the end, are they not?
Yep. Yeah.
In which case, if Fuchs was talking about we should just eat out of cans because of avoiding cross-contamination and whatnot, quite easily they could both be infected.
How about the Orlick ending where nobody's the Thing and this is all a film about mental illness?
Oh, geez. That's all.
I had to put it out there just to hear Dave's reaction.
Good thing Watson's not here. He hates that shit more than anything.
The mental more than it.
No, yeah, the cop out. This was all in his head. Oh, he fucking just wait and see. There's a show coming up where it's discussed, but he's been very vocal about that.
Watson, if you're listening, I think you should watch a show called Sane Elsewhere.
Ooh,
I think you'd enjoy it.
Sane Elsewhere, interesting. Okay.
Well, evidently, you guys don't remember the end to Sane Elsewhere.
No, was it a pretty crazy ending?
It was something Watson's gonna hate, based on what you said.
Better than Models Inc., the way they ended that show?
It was all in the patient's mind.
Oh, boy. Well, back then it wasn't cliche. It became cliche. That's the deal. And listen to the Watsy. It's coming up on episode...
You Watsy bastard.
Either way, we got into that. But, man, I think Clark might have been the first person infected. How's that?
No, but he was shot. They did the test on him. He passed.
Well, that's the thing. Can it unassimilate?
No.
No?
Do we know that for sure?
That's a hard no.
It's a hard no.
No, because I thought about that. Because Clark, because obviously, all the paranoia with Blair is on Clark, and he's clearly not infected. He's the only one who's actually murdered.
Well, he's with the damn dog the most, but Clark was human, which makes you.
Well, what about Doc and Mac? What about Doc and Mac? They go over to the freaking Swedes the Norwegians, whatever, by themselves. We don't see
Swedes.
Hey, Sweden, they're Norwegian, Mac. Yeah, that. They go there by themselves. It's just the two of them. If the things around there, I mean, they see freaking.
Everything's frozen though,
which is awesome.
So
wow.
I guess that's what kept them at bay. It's the thawing of it that ends up bringing it back, which is why the ending's amazing, because if one or both are affected, that they're going to freeze, and then when comes spring, the rescue team comes in, and then it's a very downbeat ending, because I look at it like we're all fucked.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They're going to be brought back to civilization, unthawed, and all hell's going to break loose.
It's bad. It's the Apocalypse Trilogy. Bottom line, man, that all ends up in the freaking end of the world. How's that? Because that's what he calls it.
27,000 days? 27,000 hours? So 75% of the country or 100% of the country is affected?
Right? Pretty good stuff.
That's like 3 years.
That's good stuff. The whole country, the whole world.
The whole world, 3 years. Gone.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Which makes you a murderer.
The only thing we didn't talk about, the only thing we didn't talk about that I have a little issue with is Kurt Russell's giant sombrero. That happened. That had.
It's JP approved.
Does it get bigger? Does it get bigger in some scenes?
Yeah, he is the thing. The thing grows too much. Yeah.
Child should have been like, do the Mexican hat dance. Yeah. Prove you're not the thing. Do the Mexican hat dance.
That's great. Yeah, well, what else can we say? I mean, I like the fact that there's cell activity in the burn remains still. The autopsy scene is awesome. I mean, what else is there?
Yeah, the cell activity in the burnt remains.
Cool.
That comment just opens it up to just so many more possibilities that you could have got infected from, moving one of the dead victims, So it's just it's almost like impossible to figure out, but it's awesome to try.
And the final part always weighs heavy to me when he says, we're not getting out of here alive, but we're going to make sure that thing doesn't either. And just, the finality of him saying the obvious that nobody wants to really face. And he's like, bottom line is we're all about to die. Just, you know what I mean? Let's take a look around you. Get ready. We're all going to die.
And everyone's on board, and what
can they?
And the idea that one of them is the thing and the thing's playing along, and it's just
Man, how about Blair with Gary's face? You notice that thing in the fucking...
We were talking about that earlier.
Final thing at the end?
I actually had no problem with it. Brandon said he thought it should have been gorier and it was a little too funny. But I like how his hand goes into the face. I don't think they needed the extra shot of him doing the old Spider-Man Reno, where he
it's a little too much.
Out. I think
but maybe if he
ripped it was good.
Maybe if he pulled back and ripped his jaw out or something.
What they should have shown is the dragging part, it's just a quick shot of the hand becoming one with the head. I think he should have been more monstrous. Blair should have been more monstrous there to lead into the fact that he turns into a huge monster literally 1 minute later.
Then he's underground and we get that shit,
Yeah, I know, but he's a huge monster. So it's almost like when they show that one shot of him dragging Gary's body away, he should have been more monstrous.
That would have been cool.
Just a link, more of a linking shot. That would have been all we needed. Again, I'm saying it in the fact that we've watched this movie so many times, and maybe that could have helped with the bridging the gap between it. Again, it doesn't affect my rating whatsoever. What about when Knowles comes back again after I cut him loose, and you see the doorknob twisting behind him? I fucking love that. And the camera just goes up to it. Oh, so many times I've watched this movie.
I'm with you. It's fantastic. It's full of, it's great scene after great scene.
I want the answers.
I don't want the answers.
I do.
I don't care for them.
You know me. I want them. I love it, but I still want them. That's why I'm being so quiet. I'm thinking. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out.
But that's the beauty of the movie, that it makes you think consistently.
No, but I want the answers before I die. That's what I want. That's what I want on my deathbed.
Okay, well, maybe if John is on his deathbed, you can ask him.
Surrounded by loved ones, as I'm about to pass, somebody reaches over and just whispers into my ear,
"It was mental illness."
Yeah. and then I snap out of the coma and I kill everyone in the room.
No, I wanted to be McCready.
I'll tell you. I'll do you a favor. If you ever end up in a sick bed or a death bed, I'll do my best to contact John Carpenter and I'll tell him the story. I'll let him listen to this very episode and say, "Listen, please do this man a favor before he passes on."
Don't forget. I know you said sick bed and death bed. Don't forget the bed that eats. If I end up in the bed that eats, make sure you get John on the phone as well.
Oh man, Morricone. I didn't say Morricone. The great score of this film. So I had to throw that back in because it's awesome, and you know.
You know what though? I heard that Carpenter. Again, I don't know where I remember reading this, but I think he was a little less enthused about it, and I think Carpenter came up with the opening part that we were talking about. That's a Carpenter-esque sort of theme. Yes. I think Morricone came up with the swelling music when they're in the Norwegian camp, and it's swelling in that music, amongst other things in the movie as well. But I believe I read, and again, please listeners help confirm that on our page, that Carpenter redid some of the soundtrack.
Well, it's 100% believable. Especially when you look at the work that followed and how some of it's a little bit similar and how it's the top of his soundtrack game. Because after this is 82. Next, we get into two of his best when you're talking about Halloween 3, which is my personal favorite, and you're talking about Christine. And some of that spills over, actually a lot. It's heavily featured. You could tell how much he was trying when it came time to Prince of Darkness. Because Prince of Darkness is similar to the Halloween 3 Christine. Not on the same level, but it's the same style. You could see that he was really putting an effort in. But the bag of tricks was most of the tricks were used in 83 and 82. You know, he was just at the top.
Silly John, bags of tricks are for kids.
And of course, Alan Howarth as well, who wasn't present for this one, I don't think, but definitely was for the next three that I just mentioned.
Nor accounted for. I have to just say, again, it should come to no surprise to anybody that is listening to this show or any of our crossover shows with 22 Shots, but this is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Absolutely.
And it
10 out of 10?
10. Yeah.
10 out of 10. Nothing's changed.
Yep. I'm bumping up to a 10 out of 10.
Wow. Look at that. Is this our first ever? 30? Is this our first ever unanimous 30 for the three hosts?
No, we've had Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby is the one that always pops in mind.
Okay, so episode 4.
There was another one that I thought we did too. We've had it. I thought we've had. No, really.
I don't know.
I'll have to now go back and look at the ratings that were all done up for us that we've put up there. So I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Yes, I really believe that the three of us have not come 10 out of 10. Except, Psycho would definitely be.
And maybe Texas Chainsaw. What did you give for first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Brandon? Psycho for sure. Rosemary's Baby. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and probably this.
Okay, all right then. Then I guess there's been 5. Okay, I stand corrected. For some reason, I thought Brandon.
I think anyway.
Yeah, but, I could be wrong. I could have given 9.5s. You know, but for The Thing, it's now a 10 out of 10, and
nice.
Probably now my favorite Carpenter film.
Very nice.
Nice, man. Nicey.
Word.
All right, let's move on to Prince of Darkness from 1987. A research team finds a mysterious cylinder in a deserted church. If opened, it could mean the end of the world. This one's also written by Carpenter.
Yeah, who went under the name of Mark or something. Martin Quatermass.
Yeah, Martin Quatermass.
Which was cool, because this movie has similarities to Quatermass in the Pit.
I've never seen Quatermass in the Pit.
I have. I had to watch it for ABC's The Hidden Horror, and that's the first time I saw anything. Yeah. Yep.
I remember.
And I enjoyed it. Yeah. Good story.
Well, it's funny because I know that this has gained a following, almost kind of like we're talking about The Thing. I think The Thing is more universally loved. This you'll read a lot of. This is his underrated classic. This is his forgotten treasure. I'm not quite there. I was disappointed when I was a kid, probably because it was a lot more leisurely paced that I was wanting from the movie, but as I got older, I appreciated it more. But it's still kind of a misfire. Elements of it is a misfire. Like I said, the look of it is great. The performances, I'm not really they don't really draw me in. I find them a little off-putting a little bit.
There's a lack of cohesion.
Yes.
Amongst these characters. There's a real lack of cohesion that takes you out of it. Everything feels like just sort of like scenes cut together rather than one flowing thing. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's no flow or no cohesive flow. That you summed it up beautifully.
Yeah, I felt it too. You know what's funny? I just got to point this out. I watched it because I don't own this movie, so I watched it. I believe it was on Shudder, and I put on the subtitles. Do you know what it said every time Donald Pleasance's character talked?
No.
Because he doesn't have a name in this film. He's just Priest.
Oh, okay.
You know what it said as his character's name on the subtitles? It said Father Loomis. I swear to you, it said Father Loomis.
Did you check the final credits? I gotta look at the credits now.
The credits all just list him as Priest. But, like, I feel like the person who just did the subtitles was just like, you know what, I'm just going to put in Father Loomis. But unless I'm losing my mind, there were at least 2 occasions where he was talking and it said Father Loomis. And I'm like, Father Loomis?
He was good in this. And I'm wondering if he was putting this as maybe like, okay, you kind of got shafted on the first Halloween. I love you. You made that movie. I know you got a small salary, so I'll bring you back for this. And now you know pay you what you deserve, or something. I don't know. I'm totally making that up. I'm just wondering because again, I love Donald Pleasance, but he's a little bit more subdued here to his Loomis character.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, when he talks about the devil, it's as if he's talking about Michael Myers. I noticed that a couple times, but you know he does work at Loomis. He had him in Loomis. He does work with Pleasance. Excuse me. He had him in, what do you call it as well? Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was in Escape from New York. So I take that back. Fuck my thought.
Father Loomis has been.
He just likes to use characters over and over again because he brought a couple of people back from Big Trouble in Little China. Unfortunately, the younger guy, I forgot his name, whatever his name is, I feel like he's miscast in this movie.
Brian?
I know he's supposed to be a little eager. He doesn't get it, so he kind of plays the audience. If you're not really following the story, he asks the questions so that they can answer him, so maybe the audience understands a little bit more of what's going on. However, his acting definitely, I don't know, again, I don't know if this is possibly part of a rushed production, and this is why there's no cohesion, as we already mentioned, and maybe the performances suffered, because even the main guy...
The Tom Atkins wannabe?
Brian Marsh.
Yeah.
I thought that's who you're talking about.
That's who I thought he was talking about,
Brian
but I wasn't sure.
Brian Marsh is the guy that I don't think he's a good actor. I'm talking about Walter. Dennis Dunn from Big Trouble in Little China.
The Asian guy?
Well, there's 2 Asian guys.
Wait.
There's 2 guys from Big Trouble in Little China. There's the old guy, Victor Wong, right. and then there's Dennis Dunn.
Birack, the professor who brings all the students along. And
he's
Walter,
fine. He actually classes up every movie he's in my opinion. Dennis Dunn, the young guy, the one that was like, with Kurt Russell through the whole show.
Yeah.
He's miscast in this, and I find him just doesn't fit.
He's hit or miss.
And
he's hit or miss to me.
And Brian Marsh, or that's the character's name, Jameson Parker. I found him like not engaging whatsoever.
No, that is my only complaint of the 2 leads. It's almost like The Fog, except instead of having Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins, he has that guy and that girl. That's what it's like. They hook up pretty quick. They end up in bed together really quick, and then nothing else is like right. Yeah, nothing else is like The Fog or any of that stuff after. But it just seems like there's so many characters, and this is, to me, it's not a criticism. There's just so much going on. And I guess maybe if you extended 20 minutes, but I don't think we wanted extended 20 minutes. I was fine with the length of the film. I see what you're saying with the leads, but to me, the true leads would be Loomis and Victor Wong.
Here's the dilemma is what I'm going to be broken record with, and what we've already established, but there seems to be a lack of continuity and cohesion between everything. So there's a disconnect between everything. Disconnect between performances, disconnect between scenes. So it becomes kind of jumbled. I'm not going to say it's a mess because there's a lot to enjoy here. So again, maybe in my typical fashion, I'm coming out with the negatives right away, which may skew the whole review because I'm not really down on this movie. I actually quite like this movie. But not nearly to the extent that I like the Thing.
No, I know what you're saying. It's there's too many characters so that there's not enough development of the Brian and Catherine character. You care about them because they're nice people. Everyone in this is a nice person because they're all either, doctors and, well-liked people, well-respected people, or they're, doctoral students. So nobody's like really like an asshole. But if Brian and Catherine were more developed by taking out, like they didn't have to bring all these other groups of people. They could have just done all the stuff themselves as like a group of like 5. Then you would have had a stronger connection with these characters. Ultimately, the way the movie plays out, it would have had more of an impact, even though I do find one particular image, towards the end quite haunting, actually.
This always had a great jump scare, but this time I didn't find it all that effective, and it was always at the end there. But to get back to that, they have so many characters, yet they figure out a way to get them separated, to go off and do these things by themselves and get themselves killed or whatever. That is almost like, for a quote-unquote smart horror movie, you're finding like, this almost falls like a bad slasher cliche of how can I get them alone and dead, and then get someone to go follow and try to find so-and-so, only to get dead. And I'm just like, I expected more from it.
I think you just pretty much nailed it. It becomes like a bad slasher cliche there in the middle, because it starts off great. I love the whole idea of the Brotherhood of Sleep, and the father that dies was the guardian priest, almost like the Sentinel.
Right, I thought that too.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool story. And even though like I couldn't keep up with everything that they were talking about between Pleasant's character and Birak, all the science and the religion and the anti-god and the anti-matter, it was interesting listening to it. And I get it. They're sort of blending religion and science, and we were duped from the very beginning. And it was interesting stuff. I couldn't mentally hang on to all the facts of what they were saying, but when they got to like the meat of the film, the middle leading up to the final showdown, it just seemed like filler of like, okay, we're gonna kill this person now, then we're gonna go here and kill this person, then we're gonna go back here and kill this person, then we're just gonna stand around for a while. We'll let Loomis read in the closet for 20 minutes.
It's mundane.
It's very mundane.
But this premise is fascinating, like Liquid Satan or whatever. Like, I just wanted them to bottle it. Imagine that. They got like a bottling line and they just whipped it out and they mass marketed it.
Liquid Satan, right on the shelves, right next to the stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there's some creepy fucking shit here. I do think maybe the cult shows up a little early. It's like the second they get there, bye, they're right there. Like, I mean, I know it's one person. I think it's Alice Cooper out of the gate, is it not?
Yeah, Alice Cooper.
Which is fine.
Yeah,
Teenage Frankenstein. But the reality would be that it's just too soon. I think they need to build on that a little bit more, because that does get a little bit creepy as well. And that other guy, and when they attack the other guy, and then he comes back and he's all covered in bugs and.
Oh, yeah, that was great, that guy, and that voice. Oh, I loved it.
And his head sort of just topples off.
Kaka. This is Kaka.
It's him, yeah, Kaka guy.
Oh.
Yeah, but they do reveal sort of like the cult very quickly, that the whole group of like schizophrenics. I mean, maybe it's a little offensive to paint all these homeless people as schizophrenics.
But they're not really schizophrenics. That guy just classified them as that at the time. He was saying that schizophrenics repeat the same every 20 minutes. They repeat the same routine. So he thought that maybe that they were schizophrenics because they were homeless, but in fact it was something larger and at play. I don't think they were saying that they were all schizophrenics. You know what I mean?
I
read into it wrong, but that's not what I got.
I'm not 100% sure, but but it was definitely too soon. Like in the first.
I agree with that.
In the first 20 minutes, Alice Cooper's stabbing people with half a bicycles.
Oh, I love that. That was great. That bicycle.
This is a weird.
Where do you get a half bike? I thought it was a unicycle at first. I would have loved to see him riding a unicycle, singing "No More Mr. Nice Guy" before he killed that guy.
Maybe he can only afford half.
It was a much smaller budget. So
I'm buying this in installments.
Like, give us the half bike.
I get the seat next week.
I agree with you guys on one of two things. I agree with that, what you just said about it happened too early. They revealed their hand. They should have been a slower build. But I have a different opinion on the middle. I loved the middle stuff when it turns into, I guess, slasher fare, if you will. I think if it didn't do that, I think it would have been a very boring film. It was just talk, talk, talk. I think you needed that stuff to break it up.
Well, it's not that I don't like that it becomes slashery. I just think the kills would have been more effective if there were less of them and it was more of a cohesive group that was getting picked off one by one. Because I really didn't care that everyone was getting picked up. And why was the one girl,
I just
not Catherine? Why was Kelly marked? When did she bump her arm? Why was she the chosen one to be the vessel?
Kelly,
the blonde
girl, the blonde girl that had
who gave birth.
Kelly who?
Kelly. I didn't even realize what you were doing. I thought you were genuinely asking.
They did show something quickly, but I hear you. It wasn't really.
Because there were too many characters. Like, she was part of the original group, and she almost got lost in it. Like, she's like, oh, I got an itch, and she lifts up her arm. She's got a freaking upside down cross.
Too many. They could have just, boop, 2 out of there and just tighten it up a little bit. I just felt
1 too many.
I don't know. They're trying to build this cast, and again, I think play off the isolation, the fact that they're stuck there and they can't get out. And there's some good stuff there. Like when that guy's trapped in the closet and they're trying to get to him from the other side. Yeah. That's tense. I remember, like, get him the fuck out of there. Like, I was getting into it. Like, there's some great stuff here. It just is hindered by some. I'm not even saying sluggish pacing, because I don't know. I don't think the movie's slow. It's just weirdly episodic as it cuts back and forth between shit.
You feel like Birack and Priest, I'll call Pleasance Priest, are in a different movie. Yeah. Like, they're in one movie, which is like a science, religion, anti-god film, and then the others are in just like a slasher film where Kelly is giving birth to the demon, to Satan, and then he's gonna summon his father, who is the anti-god, which is really cool, needing the mirror. But the idea of just cracking the mirror and it's over is sort of a little anticlimactic.
Wow, it's a little more than that. It's somebody going inside of it, the right people going inside part of it, I love. And prayer. Don't forget that Loomis, threw the freaking axe and was reciting Lord's prayers at the time.
True. That's true. Okay. Yeah, I do love that image of her on the other side reaching back.
Wait, that's when he starts hamming it up. That's when he does start going full Loomis, I think.
I hit him with an axe 6 times.
So it's funny, Brandon. On the IMDb, he's called Priest. But then in the trivia, it says it said Donald Pleasance's character, Father Loomis, is named after the character he played in the Halloween movies.
Oh, okay. So maybe, okay. You know what? They never refer to him as Father Loomis, so maybe it is the name. They never refer to him at all in the film. Nobody ever introduces themselves to him. He never says, "Hi, I'm so and so."
And interesting enough, Alice Cooper originally asked Carpenter if he could just come to the set to watch a special effect, due to Cooper's manager also producing the film, which is probably why Alice Cooper also had a song called Prince of Darkness. I don't know if you guys are Alice Cooper fans. I am. So he has, in Raise Your Fist and Yell, I believe that's the album. He has Prince of Darkness as one of the songs on there. But then Carpenter eventually decided to offer Cooper a role as a leader of the street people.
Leader of the street people.
Leader of the street people. Bum, bum, bum.
A leader of the street people.
I don't know what the hell that was, but that was funny.
Oh, mirror in the bathroom is what I meant to say. But I was like,
Smoker
leader
in the boys' room?
No. What? Mirror in the bathroom. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were doing leader of the pack. The leader of the pack.
That would have been a better one, but for whatever reason it turned into leader of the street people.
Then I thought you were smoking in the boys' room. I guess not. There's some songs for you, Marco. Rock and roll. I don't know. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did what it did. I understand maybe there was a few characters too many, but I liked that it was kind of a mishmash of different subgenres. I don't know. It didn't. I could understand from the critical eye why you guys would have a problem with the way the movie flowed, but I enjoyed it. What about those freaking dreams, man?
I love it. I love that part. That's really well done.
So creepy.
So creepy, and that each one sort of reveals just a little bit more.
Yes.
And it's really, really well done, and very unsettling.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I love that shit, man. Yeah.
And again, to give him credit, I guess this all plays into what we've been talking about. This movie was filmed in just over 30 days, which is fairly unheard of for a higher budgeted film, but it's also not a really high budgeted film. I think he wanted to produce and make a movie that was horrific, that again starred adults as opposed to kids or teens. And I give him credit for all that. These are all other pluses to it. So maybe that's why, because of the quick schedule, maybe, that's maybe why we're feeling some disconnect. And maybe the disconnect works based on the script of these soulless street people and these scientists and everything else. Maybe it ends up working in its favor, but I found it to be a little bit jarring when I was rewatching it. Because I haven't watched this film as a Carpenter fan. I've watched this, I wouldn't say the least amount, but this was probably my fourth time watching the movie.
About the same for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So not like Christine, Halloween, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, They Live. Fucking, I've watched millions of times. Like In the Mouth of Madness. This is probably, like I said, like 4, maybe 5 times tops.
This might have been a second watch for me. I don't know if I've seen it more than 2, maybe 3 max.
I mean, that could easily play into it. I mean, when you're working, even if you're talented, a fast shooting schedule means that you're doing a lot more setups per day, a lot faster. So yeah, the one location would help, but that might explain why we're experiencing this disconnect, or at least Brandon and I are, because Dave, it doesn't seem like you have the same problem as us.
It's not a terrible disconnect. They just do so many smart things and so many interesting things with broadcasting from the future and antimatter and anti-God and all the science talk that might bore some people. I was like, it was really quite interesting and made for an interesting setup, and then they sort of just get into almost paint by number slasher, kill, reveal, kill, and climax conclusion. Smoke a cigarette and get the hell out of there. I don't want to talk it down that bit. I still enjoy it as well. I just thought it had the makings of maybe something even at the top for a Carpenter film.
And for some people, it's reached those heights. I
enjoy it.
I no, I do too. I'm just not. I'm not quite as high as I maybe want to be, and that's okay. I mean, the reality is, I think I've always hovered, at the 8 range, but I've come I was a little lower. A little lower on this view, but there's a lot of interesting shit happening here, and it's a far more intelligent movie, and I can understand, maybe a lot of horror fans at the time not embracing it. I mean,
yeah,
we're talking 1987, right? Correct? Am I right with that?
87, yeah.
So I mean, again, kudos to him making horror movies for adults.
Even though I like the ending, and I like the vision of the last image being of Brian reaching towards the mirror because he knows Catherine's on the other side. I almost they kind of, wouldn't they have needed another Guardian? Wouldn't it have been good if he was the new Guardian? I know that's getting a little too Sentinel.
He's not a priest though. He's got to be a priest. He's got to be a priest. Can't be any jabroni. Freaking there's the Guardian.
I think I think it's supposed to be somebody to watch the door.
I don't know. It seems like it was always handled by the Roman Catholics. That was their whole gig.
It was the secret society, this Brotherhood of Sleep that the Church, the Vatican, didn't even know about. But yeah, you're probably right. It needed to be a priest. So maybe they should have had an image of Loomis down there.
Loomis should have stayed down there.
Yeah,
you're right. He should have been like the priest at the end of Amityville too. Enough there.
Yeah, man. Maybe.
Yeah. But I'm a little less satisfied with this ending than the Thing, where the Thing kind of ends on that downbeat note too. This with kind of has that same sort of.
See, I don't feel the downbeat ending. I feel like too many people survive, and I feel like for whatever reason they ignore the fact that this evil still exists, and it just seems like they're going to go on about their lives now. I don't get a sense of apocalyptic doom at the very end. I just get a sense of a sad young man who just lost the girl he loves, even though they've been dating for 3 days.
Yeah, but still, I get that, but they all are aware that evil is there. Now they know it, and it's gonna try to come out again.
Yeah, but it felt like they were able to defeat it maybe a little too easily, and maybe too many people survived. I feel like maybe if there was less characters left, I just feel like there shouldn't have been 4 survivors.
Well, there was a lot of characters. I hear you, though. I hear you. I'm never a big fan of a lot of survivors, but
yeah.
That mirror scare get you? That scared the shit out of me when I was younger.
The very end, or what scare?
The pull into the mirror.
It's cool. It's definitely cool.
It's so good, and the anti-god's giant like cloven hand coming through.
Yeah, man.
That's so nightmarish.
Yeah, I agree.
And just seeing her sort of like frozen, kind of reaching back. That's a great image.
Definitely. And how about when she's there at the end instead of what we saw earlier? Which just doesn't it kind of? I always said that silhouette kind of looked like Candyman when they show it the first time when they're having the dreams. This is not a dream. This is the transmission from the year 1909. You know what I'm talking about? And they show that thing, the cloak. It kind of always reminded me of Candyman.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird. I didn't really look at it, but I can get a Candyman vibe or like a creeper vibe.
But then at the end, and it's the girl.
Yeah.
Pretty wild, man. And they know what's going to happen again. So that's why it is definitely, of the apocalypse. It's just something that's subdued, waiting to come out. I mean, this was its best chance, but, they know that in the 1990s it's going to happen again because they're getting transmission of it.
Well, and that's the thing that can be sort of like, is it though? Because it's like, sorry to JP you there, Dave, but they're obviously all getting the dreams while they're in the church and stuff. But then at the end, is it that he's getting more transmissions from the future, or is he just having the nightmare envisioning her trapped in there because, he had a special connection with her? Maybe so. Maybe it is just that. I would have liked it if it was more definitive as being a transmission and, this is gonna start again. This isn't over, I should say. She got sucked into hell by the anti-guy. What do you think happened to her? Yeah, but can't be nothing good. Yeah, but it seemed like she was dead. The way she was like sort of like frozen there, like looking back, I figured like, okay, she's dead. Maybe so. I never thought of that. I just thought she got sucked. She got pulled into the freaking, where it resides, where it's there chilling, and it tried to come out. It tried to come out through the girl. And so now she's a disciple of the anti-god, bringing about the end of the world in 1999. Yeah, I could get on board with that. I mean, I could totally get on board with that. That's what I think the implication is. But I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. That's just... I mean, it could definitely go that way. That was it, yeah. I agree, Dave. I concur. And that's scary. That's scary that they thought that they did all this and that, the other thing, and Loomis was so freaking confident about, we did it, I did it, we did it. I'm like, well, I don't know. Did you? Wouldn't it have been better if, the 4 of them survived and they're still in the church and they're sort of just, they're exhausted. So they're just, laying around the table or whatever, or they just show them in different rooms and they're just relaxing and they're all sleeping and they all have the same dream. Yeah. Then it's like definitive that's it. And I just think that would have been more effective because it just comes off as almost like a horror romance at the end. Like, my love's on the other side. And it also comes across as just a body possession movie as the movie progresses, which I think takes away from the overall feeling. Because really, at the end of the day, when it goes into the slasher mode, it's really just spitooning the devil juice in each other's mouths. And I think, well, that's fine. Wow. That's just Satan body hopping, because the devil juice is just Satan because the anti-god buried his son Satan on Earth. Yeah. So that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind it being a body jumping liquid and whatever.
Jason, how about that dude though? Yeah, exactly.
Jason goes to hell. Sorry.
Oh God. And I knew what you meant, but I knew what you meant. Body jumping. I thought that one guy was hysterical. He kept laughing after he cut himself with wood. Somehow he sliced his throat with a stick of wood. Yeah. And then he couldn't stop laughing. He was great, that guy. Amazing. No, that wasn't Amazing Grace. Was it Amazing Grace?
Come he was singing? Sit on my face.
I think it was Wade in the Water. Wade in the water.
It was swing low.
That's what I was gonna do.
No, he was singing that. He goes, "I once was lost."
Yes.
But now, isn't that Amazing Grace?
It is.
Yeah, that is Amazing.
He was singing it. Oh man, they should have Bud in there with him.
Yeah.
I tell you, old Bud. Oh shit, that's good.
And that was cool.
Yeah, man, that guy was great. He was creepy. He kept cracking up for no reason. You look in the mirror.
That was a good use of the possession there, because like he was very effective as possessed, where everyone else was sort of just like a mindless and like zombie.
Yeah, and I think that's where we needed something different. I think that's the fault of the middle part of the movie.
At least he wasn't a worm.
True. How about that girl when she was typing? That was freaking scary. She kept typing over and over and looking in the same direction. She did a good job in that.
Yeah, and you know something else about her? You know, I don't know if you noticed this, but I think she could pass for Asian.
I'm just kidding. You don't look Asian at all. And then he told that joke about the Jewish mother, and he said the girl, and he goes, I said a witch doctor.
That's a good joke. That's a really good joke, actually.
That was good. Yeah, see, he was funny. Sometimes his acting was kind of off, but
that joke was good. Yeah.
Yeah, but the comic relief with him was kind of placed right.
Yeah, you know? I almost expected Lopan to show up.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I think I enjoyed it more than you guys, but I don't know. How about?
I really didn't dislike it though. I really didn't dislike it.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. It's just I just thought it was good. Like, you know, maybe very good, but not.
Yeah.
Great.
I think I'm somewhere in the. This is a really, really good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, not.
I'm at 7.5. I don't know why I'm dancing around the fucking thing. 7.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna dance a little bit longer before I tell you that I'm also at a 7.5.
Pray for Death. Yeah, I'm definitely the highest. I'm 8.5. I really enjoyed it. I watched this one twice too.
Nice. Like I said, I've only seen this a couple of times. Yeah. This is the one I'm least familiar with. So
one thing's for certain, it has Carpenter's thumbprint on it. Like, this is when you really establish yourself as an auteur, and not just his name above the credits, or title, but the fact that it looks and it sounds, and it plays out like a Carpenter film, and so that says a lot as well, and it's quite enjoyable. Very good. I'm glad everybody at least enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's very good. I think we're also holding it to a higher regard because of it being Carpenter. He's had so many great films.
That's for sure. And what about this last one? Is that a great film?
I'm looking forward to this discussion.
But wait, before we go there, let's answer a couple more questions, because we're doing well. We're doing okay for time. I know we got to get to bed, but I mean, I had these up, so bear with me 1 second as I try to
do it up, man.
Jean Dubovin said, my statement is as follows, no comment. Okay, and then Neil posted a meme saying, what? Afterwards, so that kind of sums it all up. Not really horror related, but given he was just taken from us too early, what is your favorite performance by Rutger Hauer? Oh, I'd say Blade Runner.
Whew. Man, it's hard for me to say.
You know what? Maybe The Hitcher.
I was gonna go with The Hitcher, but he's done so much good stuff.
I don't know. I haven't really seen that. I've seen The Hitcher for 20 minutes. I've seen Blade Runner one time.
For 20 minutes.
One time.
Yeah, this year, for the first time, I watched it finally. What else is he big on? He was in Hobo with a Shotgun, which I purchased but haven't watched.
You're gonna roll there with favorite roles. I'll go with The Hitcher, then with Blade Runner a close second.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll answer it for everybody.
Yeah. He was in Batman Begins apparently, but
Surviving the Game.
That movie was horrible with Ice-T.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure film. I don't think it's horrible, but like I enjoy watching it.
He was in Bone Daddy, 1998.
Yeah, Bone Daddy, Blind Fury.
Bone Daddy. Man, I wish I could find one that he stuck out for me.
Armin had 3 questions in a row there. Armin, that's the only one we're answering tonight. because then it goes into horror, favorite horror writer. And then which horror novel would you bring to the favorite horror writer? And then which horror novel would you bring to the big screen given unlimited resources?
Weave World, Clive Barker.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that.
Every time.
I think we said Weave World, Clive Barker.
No, rock and roll.
On Blossom, a very special episode was when she got her period. Is it this, but with Brandon?
What now?
Oh, why we're
this? Huh?
Why we're delayed and recorded. Also,
a very special episode.
Also, could someone say that you just broke my glasses again for me, which we did earlier? That was for Dave.
What happened with me? What's
well, we said that because David, we said we're doing a special episode answering questions. And then Jim K from Toronto. You know that's Jim from Toronto?
That is Jim. That's him.
Jim K?
Jim K is Jim from Toronto.
Yeah. Besides the obvious, The Exorcist, what are your favorite exorcism-based films?
Emily Rose.
Yeah.
Amityville 2: The Possession. It's possession. So I guess there is an exorcism in it.
Blackcoat's Daughter.
Thank you. I was just gonna say there was that cheap little quick scene, but yeah.
I think that sums it up.
Exorcisms, yeah.
Favorite non-horror director? Fuck. I'll have to say, okay, this is difficult. This is from Mr. Parker. Rock with your cock out, Parker. This is a difficult question. I might have to say Brian De Palma. Now, he's done horror, so if you won't accept that as an answer, then
I won't accept it.
Then it might be Danny Boyle or the Hughes brothers. And I may give the edge to Danny Boyle because he's done more.
Interesting. Maybe Scorsese.
Yeah, Scorsese's fucking amazing too, though. Yeah, you know what? Why did I leave him out?
You tell me.
Scorsese, I'll go with Brian De Palma still. I mean, he's done enough non-horror that I think I could get away with Brian De Palma.
Fair enough.
There you go. Yeah. Scorsese, David Fincher. There's another one I really like his movies.
Yeah, man.
I like Jeff Nichols. He does really good movies.
Jeff Nichols?
Take Shelter, Mud.
Nice.
He hasn't done a lot of films, but
Lucas Dickinson asked Dave this. Dave Zed, in your opinion, what character in all of horror made the best babyface turn? The fuck does that mean?
Ooh, what character in all of horror made the best babyface turn?
What's a babyface turn? What the fuck am I missing here?
It means that he was a bad guy. He was a heel.
Is this a fucking wrestler thing?
Yeah, but it's a term that can be applied to anything. He's a bad guy that turned into a good guy. What's the best turn? You know what I mean? Like, who was bad that turned good?
Darth Vader.
But that's not horror. But that is a great babyface turn. There's no question about that. Man, what happened? I'm trying to think of a horror movie where somebody really, changed face on us.
Michael when he cries in part 5.
Mandy Lane.
Mandy Lane, huh? I don't think anybody turned face in that one.
Well, she seemed like she was good the whole movie.
And then she turned bad, so it's the opposite. She had a heel turn. So it's the other way. She you know what I'm saying? Baby face turn. She turned baby. You know what I'm saying? She was an ass. You thought that they were bad, but
bad turned good?
Yes.
I'm not listening. You lost me at wrestling.
Good. Just bad turn.
You lost you at good night or good evening. Good
just
night.
Bad turn.
What's
good.
that?
I don't know.
Did
I don't know what I'm
turn
saying.
Good that really blew us away. Psycho. Anthony Perkins. That's kind of a baby face turn for a little while anyway.
Yeah.
Negan.
Walking Dead.
Oh, Negan with an N. Oh, he turned babyface. I didn't know that.
Well, he's sort of good now.
I don't know. I never watched it. Last time I saw, he was a badass.
Spoiler. Fucking guy turns
Spoiler
good.
alert.
Great. What an asshole.
Hey, it's been 9 years the show's on. You can put it on.
Neil Robson. Don't recall if this has been discussed already, but your thoughts on 2019, halfway through the year. In my opinion, it has been great. Great to see theatrical horror, but not a lot has been impressing me. Neil, I'm almost right there with you. I haven't seen a lot either. We did kind of talk about it. I don't know if this was pregame or in between, but I think I've watched 15 2019 films, and there's some good stuff there.
13, and I'm only happy with 3 of them. Really happy with 3 or 4 of them. And one of the ones that everyone's blowing, I absolutely really disliked. I'm not going to say hated. Midsommar.
What?
I was
Wow.
What a miserable experience watching that film.
Wow. No shit.
Yeah.
I disagree. Wow. Anyway, I haven't seen as many. I probably haven't even seen as many as you two. So it's really not easy for me to say. But I will say this. It does seem a little bit lackluster. However, doesn't this kind of happen every year? And then the last 5 months, freaking, it goes bananas.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
you do have a lot of hard hitters.
It's been especially slow. We do have some big ones coming up, with It 2. I don't know what 3 from Hell is going to be like, but
think of it from theatrically. I think maybe what we're missing is where the independents, and maybe there's a lot of independents, and I'm just speaking out of line here. But I know there's more coming. But think if it was just in the fucking theater, I could actually look at my listing, and we had Child's Play, Annabelle Come Home, Godzilla King of Monsters, Midsommar, all out like that, like 4 fucking movies in the theater.
Hey, I haven't seen a bad one yet. I've enjoyed every movie I've seen. I have not watched a movie, and I haven't seen Godzilla, but I think I want to now because I've heard nothing but good things. I enjoyed Child's Play. I enjoyed Midsommar. I enjoyed Ma. I enjoyed Us. Everything I've watched. I haven't seen Annabelle yet, but everything I've seen, I've liked.
This is the year of the 2-letter horror. It's Us, Ma.
Well,
It's Us, Ma.
It's Us, Ma.
Now we've got Fave.
You're right.
Fave, Romero's The Crazies, the remake, or none of the above. I don't understand.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dave,
wait.
I need more. Fave, Romero's The Crazies, the remake, or none of the above.
Yeah, he's saying, what do you like better? Right.
Yeah.
I never saw the original, so I can't say.
I
But
like the remake.
okay.
I really like the remake.
I like the original. I like the remake, and I actually think that the remake was a little bit more entertaining.
And I'm also a big fan of none of the above.
Joshua says, you guys are the best horror podcast out right now. I love your show and the chemistry you all have. Keep on doing a great job. Not a question, but fucking you're bang on correct, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Josh. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Tim Walker, what are your favorite 2019 horror films so far this year? Mine is the black and white Italian movie, the Laplace Demon. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet. It's very much like a classic Twilight Zone episode, in my opinion. And then Hagazusa or whatever, and Knife and Heart are right up there with them. Okay, I haven't seen any of those, so that's a good load of movies for me to watch. Great.
Yeah,
they've all been on my list.
Yeah, Hagazusa's on Prime. Knife and Heart is Shudder, and the other one, however you say it, the Laplace Demon or whatever. I've heard of. What is it? I'll butcher it.
Laplace's Demon.
Laplace.
I took a Laplace's earlier today. And then Dave C says, thanks, guys. Said more.
Loves it. I said more. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I thought. Yeah.
We're going to do a few more. Eric Webster says, I am the great Cornholio. I need toilet paper for my bunghole.
Did you say toilet paper or TP?
TP.
Okay,
he said TP
better.
for my bunghole. Sorry.
Okay. I need TP for my bunghole. Yeah, see, that's okay.
Thank
if
you.
If you toilet paper.
Christian ruined it by saying
ruined it. I fucking ruined it.
No. He's like,
I need 2-ply Charmin for my butthole.
Yeah.
I
3-ply.
Toilet paper.
Well, I want to wipe my fucking ass with my hand. 3-ply.
3-ply.
Fuckers. Anything less, I might as well be wiping with my hands. Search the darkest depths of your soul and tell me the shittiest movie that you absolutely love. Also, assemble a horror dream team circle jerk. You may include each other. Brandon.
Wait, what?
Huh?
A horror dream team circle jerk. Does that mean like we all are going to try to jizz on crackers and then the last one to come has to eat them? Thank God I will never lose that. I always will be the first to come. I can guarantee that.
You think so? With a bunch of freaking dongs hanging around you?
I won't look. I'll be just thinking of no dong.
Yeah, but you'll smell them.
I'll smell them. Yeah.
You'll smell cocks everywhere. I'm telling you, you would.
Where did this show go?
Man, that cock smells like the Lapace Demon.
Darkest depth of your soul. Tell me the shittiest movie that you absolutely love.
Shittiest movie?
Can that be the Toxic Avenger? I mean,
that's not shitty. That's classic.
I love it.
See, I can't have a discussion like that because you know my thoughts on that. It doesn't.
Maximum Overdrive?
It doesn't make sense. I can't love it if it's shitty. If it's shitty, it's just shit.
Like Maximum Overdrive, everything tells me this movie's a piece of fucking garbage, but I love the movie. I love it.
You love it. It's so bad it's good then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's so bad it's good, maybe. Well, that's not really bad though. See?
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, because it's a big piece of garbage day.
I don't think I like a bad movie. I don't think. Man, that sounds shitty. That sounds like I'm being a certain way, and I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to say, if something's bad, I gotta come with like some. Okay, Dracula versus Frankenstein is so bad it's good. It's true.
Okay.
It's damn true. Watch
Biggest
it.
blatant ripoff that's not technically a remake. He gives an example of Wrecker versus Duel. Is pretty bad, I think. I don't really know.
How about Midsommar versus Hereditary?
Not even close.
I'm sorry. This guy ripped off his own movie.
I don't see any comparison to Midsommar and Hereditary. That's so weird.
Good question, Dave. Maybe we'll have to get back to that one.
Yeah, I'm not good on the spot.
Cameron Scott. I'm having a fucking seizure.
It's Scott again from Patreon?
Cameron Scott. Cameron Chris says, what's a genre or subgenre you can't understand the love for?
Can't
the
Western.
Western. I mean, if you're talking about within horror.
I used to say that about the Western, but man, I'm digging them.
Does he say subgenre or genre?
Genre?
Both, genre or subgenre. And I'm not even against the Western anymore either, to be honest. I kind of like everything. Romantic comedy I even like. Subgenre you can't stand. If a subgenre of horror, if you had to pick one subgenre of horror.
Well, I don't like freaking cheesy, like
shot on video
shit. No, it isn't. I don't care what it's shot on.
No, I'm going to say that's what I don't like. If you're going to consider that like a subgenre,
it's not real.
I know, but I'm going to fucking cop out. Dave is where I'm going with that. Shot on video is my answer.
Okay. Shot on shitty-o. No, listen, I feel you if you're going to do that, but I'm going to say something like, I don't like goofy comedy horrors. Like, not all horror comedies, but goofy shit. Like Night of Something Strange or Greasy Strangler or Attack of the Killer Donuts. Just that title is a fucking turnoff to me. To me, movies like that give horror a bad name. That's what like people that don't like horror or don't watch it, that's what they think of when they think of horror. I think it's a bunch of stupid, mindless freaking shit. And movies like that, in my opinion, don't do any good for the genre as a whole. And I don't mean to shit on it again, because if people like it, by all means. But me personally, I think that stuff like that, even like whatchamacallit, like Sharknado and shit, all that shit's stupid. Lavalantula. It's like the lowest common denominator of horror, what's supposed to be entertaining. It's just like something that like a 4-year-old would create. I don't know. I guess that's all I could say.
That's fine. We got Dave again saying fave non-final girl from a movie.
Non-final girl?
Yeah. Which I remember reading this and I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, are you just saying the main star? A final girl really is just from a slasher film. No? True.
You're right. There's so many not good non-final girls that get killed.
That's too hard of a question.
It is. On the spot, yeah, I got to think about these and come back.
Another one we got to think about. Son of a bitch. Yeah. Gives us all the ones we
write them down. About. Write the think abouts down.
Oh, I love this. Why have we never mentioned this name on the show before? Mika Woodcock.
Oh, I know who Mika Woodcock is. Yeah.
That's a hard
That's the question?
Yeah. That's it. That's just Mika Woodcock?
That was his question? No,
I wouldn't cock. No,
was he the one that asked about the favorite final girl?
No, that was Dave.
Or the favorite non-final
Mika
girl?
Woodcock says, "What are your favorite horror book short stories?" We've kind of talked about this before.
The Mist.
Good one, and I liked Survivor Type and The Hellbound Heart.
Oh well.
Do you want to add to this, Brandon? Yeah, Brandon doesn't read.
Yeah, I don't read much. Short story?
If you want.
I don't know. I can't think right now.
He's a great ad-libber, everybody. Now, Warren Money.
Warren Money, how you been?
Warren Money. Where's that podcast, Warren? What's the most you've ever been scared? What's the most you've ever been scared / jumped in a horror film? Mine is The Exorcist 3 at the cinema, The Nun with Shears. After that, Mikey in the Corner and Blair Witch. There's so much about this. I mean, fuck. We talked about The Thing. That jump scare gets me each and every time. When I watched Halloween 4, and remember, the nostalgia for this goes way back. When that guy's in mid-sentence and Mike's fucking hand comes and his thumb jabs him in the middle of the head, I jumped probably 5 feet out of my seat. I think that's how the movie won me over, because I just loved it from that point on, that it just scared me so much. I admit when the nun with the shears in Exorcist 3 was a great scene too, but jump scares are great, but I like that feeling of just constant dread, like the constant build through the whole thing. Like Hereditary just made me feel like totally uneasy the whole way through.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Wait, what was the question again? Sorry.
What host should be kicked off the show?
Oh, Christian.
Yeah. Easily answered. What was the most you've ever been scared or jumped in a horror film?
I don't jump at films anymore.
Just for cock.
I'll jump for cock.
Man, I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, what scared me that much?
The Ring scared me first time I saw it.
Well, the Ju-On movies kind of scared me. I'll tell you that.
You're scared of Jews.
The
Shining,
party.
of course.
The Quiet One last year, man. That had some good tension in the theater.
The Quiet Ones.
Oh fuck.
A Quiet Place.
Oh, Quiet Place.
Thank you.
Okay, got you.
He's a great ad-libber, guys.
I got it shot right back at me.
Nice.
Out of left field. Fucking Kid and Play. Giancarlo Cruz, did you guys see Midsommar?
Unfortunately.
I have not. Brandon just gave his piece. Dave mentioned that he liked it.
It's good. Go see it.
That's it. That's it for questions. We actually did it. So now we can go right into the final movie.
How about that?
Silence of the Lambs.
Scared you?
We're like 5 minutes beyond the question. Silence of the Lambs.
Horror book.
It's even in the books. It wasn't even a movie.
Oh, it's about the books. It was like 7 questions ago. Oh, Shutter Island 2.
Holy shit.
Shutter Island 2? There was a sequel?
No, Shutter Island also.
Shutter
Oh,
Island.
okay.
Brandon doesn't listen to the show. He hasn't listened to the show since like episode 3.
Listen to I say.
Why am I listening? I'm here. I'm on it.
Yeah. But then if you listen back, you'd be like, I actually said that shit?
Yeah.
We want you to learn from your mistakes.
You're listening back and you keep repeating the same mistakes. So it's clearly not helping, so I'm not even going to bother.
You know what I fucked up on? I laughed. I was talking about laughing like I did like De Niro in Cape Fear. I should have been saying, I'm laughing like Sam Neill in fucking In the Mouth of Madness. Good segue in. Let's fucking talk about it. Brandon, fucking give us the goods.
All right. In the Mouth of Madness, 1994, an insurance investigator begins discovering that the impact a horror writer's books have on his fans is more than inspirational.
I'll start with one thing. This is one of my favorite horror movies of the 90s. One of them. Not saying where it lands, but I loved it when I saw it in the theater, and it still stands out as one of my favorite horror movies of the 90s.
Whoa.
Wow. There you go. Well, that is one that's on the top 20, 25 that we have to talk about on Podcast Under the Stairs. So it did make the cut, and I enjoyed it. But I think that, I don't know if it's me or not. So I can't insult it, because that's not my intention to insult. But I want to say that it's too heady, but maybe because it's going over my head. You get my meaning when I say all that?
It's too convoluted.
Well, it is convoluted, but I think it gets, you either have to buy into it or not. And I think it plays with the metaphor, the fact that he's watching his life play out in front of him at the end of the movie. It's like a meta version of everything that happened. I mean, it gets totally fucked up. It's almost like everything becomes reality, and you either buy into that ending or you can't buy into it because.
Listen, I'll buy into the ending, but the way the ending plays out, if I pull back and analyze it from a distance, it's a much simpler film to explain. I don't get all this meta shit.
You don't get the meta shit?
I don't get the meta shit. I get a mega shit, but not the meta shit. But also, not only do I feel like it's convoluted at times, but it's also a bit overkill with oh, it was just a dream. Oh, it was just a dream. Oh, it was just a dream.
There's way too many dream sequences.
We are beaten over the head with that. And I get that the film is supposed to be nightmarish and not being able to differentiate reality from fiction and the impact that nonfiction has on us and stuff like that. But not nonfiction. Fiction, yeah, has on us. But they beat it over our heads so much that it's almost like you can figure it out too early and get a sense of where it's going rather than it being more subtle. There's no grounding this film in reality at all because it just starts out. It starts out at the end and then it jumps right into, chaos happening after one small scene of him playing an insurance investigator, John Trent, Sam Neill, who's very good, by the way.
Yeah.
And again, I guess this was just at a time where I loved, Carpenter was, at this point, my favorite director. I remember going into this movie, I couldn't wait to see this film because it was his first film in a few years. It was, I guess, Memoirs of the Invisible Man came out before it, which I loved. I'm actually probably one of the only people that loved Memoirs of the Invisible Man. And
I never saw it.
And so I saw that movie twice in the theater. And so I always was open to seeing a new film. And I remember, again, the soundtrack here, the creature design, it got under my skin. This soundtrack, if you just listen to the soundtrack, it's fantastic. The creature design is great too. But yes, there's a bit of convolution here. Is that a word, convolution? It's convoluted. I will agree with you. I can't say it's not. I'm forgiving of it from the total package that's the movie.
I thought there were scenes in this film that were creepy and unsettling, but I felt like there was a film from last year that sort of had a similar concept that was really well done that not everybody loved, but I really felt it was better done in that film.
Which film was that?
Why am I drawing a blank now all of a sudden? What's the one where they return to the cult? The two brothers?
Oh, The Endless.
The Endless, yeah. Endless.
I could see some parallels to that too. I would agree that I thought it was.
I'm
in the minority with that film.
In terms of people playing their roles over and over, it just becomes apparent what's going on here. The I see you, he sees you. It's just, I don't know. I think that it's trying to be a lot smarter than it is.
I think the too many dream sequences is probably the biggest fault in the film. Again, this is not flawless by any means, but I do like the ride here with, is it Hobbs Corner? Is that
Hobbs End.
Hobbs End. I like the map again, how he establishes the map based on the covers of the book. I thought that was kind of cool as well. A little forced, but cool.
Yes, a little forced.
The getting back to the insurance company and finding out that the girl never existed, and he returned the script. Then he returned the script months ago. That part is a little head scratchy. Remember, he goes back and talks to Charleston Heston, right? And then he's like, you handed me the manuscript 3 months ago. So,
that's where I get a little confused.
That part I'd like to unravel a little bit more, because that's where it does kind of lose me, and you just have to buy it. And if you don't buy it, then it could really throw you off, because then where has he been for 3 months? What has he been doing? Everything's just been one big mind fuck.
I didn't even love the stuff in Hobbs End, and I thought it could have been a little bit better. I really did not like the scenes with Sutter Kane. I don't know. I was bored by those scenes.
When he was in the church and all that stuff? I thought that was kind of cool.
To me, this is the last great Carpenter film. I think there is some things here that start leaning towards where he went, and it's a little bit more lucid and more mean-spirited, and there's there's women hitting in this, and he gets more into the women hitting as this movies go on.
I used to love this film. Watching it this time, I saw a lot of things I didn't like about it. And I just feel with the way it ended and my interpretation of it, which I'll give when we get close to the ending of the film and, ultimately how we see it, I feel like when they were in Hobbs End, they should have just gone full out with the monsters, this ancient race of monsters just bleeding through into this reality, and they could have made that just like a nightmarish, slaughter in the town, rather than these townspeople becoming sort of like possessed one by one.
Yeah,
yeah,
I could see that.
It works, but there's something about that guy just walking up in midday, going across the street with an axe and attacking.
Oh,
like
that's back in reality.
Yeah, okay.
Which in John Trent. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Which it's back in John Trent's, world, and that part I really like.
Did you notice that about when the first time it happened, when the guy came at him with the axe, and later on the agent had blood coming from his eyes too, the same as the guy that initially came with the axe. Yeah, the first guy.
Like Sutter, like there's a few.
Yes,
they've kept that.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
Yeah, no. There's Brandon. I totally understand where you're going, and this is like, it's going to be, I think, divisive for a lot of people, because you go into this realm, and then when he escapes from the loony bin, rather easily, and then realizes the town's gone crazy, and then watches the movie of the book, and it ends up being his life unfolding there. It's a total like a mind meld of fiction versus reality, and we're experiencing firsthand there, and you're either going to buy into it or you're not going to buy into it. I think.
Well, I don't buy into it at all. All I buy into is that when he's seeing the film version within this movie, he's seeing that he was a fictional character the whole time, which means everything we're watching is the book. Everything we're watching is the book. There is no reality established in this film. The reality is us as the viewer watching this. Sutter Kane might not even be the writer of this. We're just watching a book on film.
Well, there you go. It's Lovecraft. This whole
and
thing
then you don't like it because
Lovecraft
of that? That actually makes you hate it?
That's just, I don't know. It tries to be too smart, and I've seen too many people analyze this with meta and interpretations with in terms of the way society views pop culture and stuff like that, and people are trying to be way too smart about it. And the simplicity of it is, if he was a book character the whole time, that means everything is predestined, and from the beginning he's a book character. John Trent, the insurance investigator, is a character that's written. It's written that way. It's written that he's going to bust this guy for trying to commit fraud. It's written that he's going to be at that restaurant. It's written that he's going to go to Hobbs End. It's written that he's going to come back to Hobbs End.
But isn't the whole thing
it's written that he's going to
that he's transcended from being just like like being able to write the written word, and it becomes like the book becomes a living, breathing thing that nothing. There might be a setup, but the denouement or the end is unforeseen, and this movie doesn't really truly get it.
It's just the end of the book.
But there is no end. The end is an ongoing loop, because he's watching himself. He's watching a movie of his life, and he goes into a mad laugh, which doesn't end anything. It just the movie ends, but the cycle will continue.
See, and that's the thing. People analyze that as like an ongoing loop. I view that as the end of the book. Our character, John Trent, realizes as he sits in the movie theater that he was a character in the book the whole time, and he slowly laughs and then turns to cries of insanity. The end.
So would have been happy? Would you have been happier if it then cuts to like
a book closing?
Her reading, book closing with that line, like the part in Wes Craven's New Nightmare where he says the line of dialogue and it cuts to the computer and you see it on the screen,
right?
And then it's in this movie, and it could even be fucked up. It could be the girl that he was traveling with to Hobbs End, and she's reading the book, and then closed it and said, "I think this is your best work," and then the movie ends. Would that make it better for you? Or like I love the ending of him maniacally laughing at his own existence and quote unquote reality, and it just ending with that. But I could have been down with something to that extreme too. It doesn't have to be that character, but just some sort of connection to it all being the written word. But that might play against what they're going for. Yeah,
well, they're going for so much more, and I don't like that. With the simplicity of how I view it. That
was my critique of initially of New Nightmare, And it's funny that C brought that up, that Wes Craven wrote the whole thing, and the whole thing was just characters. Remember we talked about that?
Well, this I mean, who wrote this, though? So,
Lovecraft wrote it.
Sutter Kane is just a character within this story also. Sutter Kane's a character in the book also.
Maybe there you go. See, it's over my head. See, I didn't interpret it that way. I don't know. Maybe next time I watch it, I'll get exactly what you're talking about.
Because there's no establishment of him like slipping from reality. It's just if he's a character, then he's a character from the beginning.
Sutter Kane, or
well, remember, think the way
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
Think the way the movie starts. He gets locked up in the thing, and they say that everything's going crazy on the outside, but he's locked up in the inside, or there's more of him on the outside, but he's locked up. And then they have these conversations throughout, and the girl says something to him about, if reality changed.
The insane versus the sane. Yeah.
The sane would be locked up and the insane be out, and that's exactly what ends up happening to him. Maybe, because remember, that's how the movie begins. Think about how the movie begins, and he's thrown into that thing, and they're waiting for him to come in. And they throw him in that freaking room, and they give him the crayon, he's doing the crosses and all that stuff.
Reality ends right there. Right. Reality ends right there when he asked for one black crayon, and he wrote like a fucking 1,000 crosses in that room. And where does crayon stick on your skin?
Yeah, right on your forehead, really thick too.
You're right.
I just don't know with that loop. It's just a book playing over and over. It's just reading a book over and over.
So that to you that's a deterrent.
I don't even know if it's that it's a deterrent. I just think with so much in there to try to confuse you and drive you crazy. I think for me, watching this film is almost like going back to doing the Phantasm show where I nearly lost my mind. Where this film is trying to make me lose my mind, and here I finally sat back at the end and for review's sake kind of really thought, okay, well, what does this all mean? If he's a character, okay, then he's a character from the beginning, which means everyone else and everything he encounters throughout is a character. John,
I don't know.
There's just no setup of reality and no bleeding there where I say, oh my God, this is where he lost his sanity and it slipped into, fiction versus nonfiction.
Well, I think that's how John Carpenter's presenting it to us, but the way that the movie, I think, is playing out is that he slips into reality by reading the works. The works have taken on some sort of supernatural existence that by reading the written word, it will drive you mad. So while he's reading his Sutter Kane books and then slipping in those dream-induced states, I think that's where maybe he slips totally into this alternate reality, which then the only thing that doesn't explain to me is how he drops off the script or the manuscript 3 months ago and whatever, because then what did reality split and did he go down into the same route, yet there was another dimension that he got the script from Sutter Kane, found him and delivered the script on time, and then they come back and converge again or merge.
See, I think the part where he starts reading Sutter Kane and slipping in and out of reality and putting the covers together, that's all a story arc within this book that he's been written in. And I just feel like Sutter Kane and his works are a work of fiction within this work of fiction. And that everything, they're talking about, an ancient race taking over the world is just story arc within the story. So it's like a story within a story. It almost feels like Inception.
A dream within
a dream. Really pull back. Yeah, like the dream within a dream. And then, the ending with him dropping off the script is really, there's really no sort of, at least I couldn't really come up with the logic of how it was done, except for that the writer of this story where John Trent is the main character is insane at this point, and he doesn't realize that at some point he did drop it off.
So it's caused by the written word. So then anything that happens thereafter, we can't believe because we're viewing it through the insane mind. The movie plays out. We're experiencing his insanity. So that he's not a written character, that we're experiencing his descent into absolute madness based on the fact that he read the works of Sutter Kane, which is had an adverse effect on readers, and it started creating this outbreak, and then we're seeing his descent into that.
We are seeing his descent into that, but the bottom line is we're seeing the descent of a written character.
Well, of course we are, because it's a movie.
No, but he's a written character within the movie. It's a written.
That's where the meta. That's where the meta arguments will come into, because then it has to. You then do have to question or say, but yes, we are watching a movie, which then, of course, we're watching a movie, but that plays into it.
I'm watching a book within a movie.
Sorry?
There is no movie. I'm watching a book. That's how I feel. That's how I can explain it in the way I see it. We're watching a book.
I don't know.
I don't think we're not going to answer it today, because we're all going to have different thought processes. But and once again, I don't think the conversation ends here. Our conversation will end eventually. But, no,
we're just going to go in a loop.
Yeah, this is going to be hard to sit in the madness. That's what I should do for the episode. It's just edit it over and over and over again. Going, did they just say this? And it just keeps going. You don't understand it, Dave? So that...
No, I don't get... Okay. He doesn't believe what's happening even when he finds out that things are repeating, which is weird. Okay, that's just him in a book. I don't know if he's written that way or if he's trying to figure it out when he's like, everything keeps repeating. But everything that he dreams about comes back and it happens. There's got to be something to that. They talk about the things that Kane writes are indescribable. Okay, and that's like Lovecraft. That's the same type of stuff, and I think that this is a whole lot of Carpenter with tribute to Lovecraft.
Oh, well, with the tentacle.
Is his gig here.
I love all that stuff. I love that.
All that stuff, just everything undescribable stuff, and then he says they were telling me what to write when they do talk to him, like the elder gods. That's all Lovecraftian stuff. All this stuff is like, to me, it's like when our Geno made Do You Like Hitchcock, and it was all kinds of Hitchcockian stuff in that movie, but it was more in your face. This is In the Mouth of Madness is all Carpenter, who has already done those Lovecraftian movies talking about The Thing and talking about Prince of Darkness, and this time he's more in your face with it. And that's what I think it is. Lovecraft being a writer of fiction, and Carpenter taking his fiction and putting his own spin on it. I think he's trying to make some type of statement in this movie. And again, like I'm saying about his love for Lovecraft, just like In the Mountains of Madness was Lovecraft, and this is called In the Mouth of Madness. There's too many comparisons that go directly to H.P. Lovecraft, and I think that it's too heady in that way where I don't know. And maybe I should ask Brian Sammons, because he's an expert on Lovecraft. Maybe this entire thing can be explained by him. I don't know. I don't know enough about Lovecraft to say, but I think that weighs heavily on the movie. I think it's like a statement, and
I think it's more of just like a love letter to him, with.
Oh yeah, but it's a love. But still, there's more to it.
I don't.
He's an author.
I don't see it. I just don't see. Maybe within the confines of the actual, putting together this film, but within the story. I mean, he even pulled. Every character in here is like, I can't get out. I can't get out of this, because they're written into this loop that they're in. The bicycle guy and the girl, Linda. Was it Linda, the one he was driving with? Yeah, Linda Stiles was driving with. She starts kissing him. She's like, I was written this way. And, then the reveal when he finally pulls back the poster at the end and you see his picture and he's the main character in the latest Sutter Kane book. So then we just know we're just viewing the manuscript. We're just seeing the manuscript playing out on screen.
Maybe it is that simple. And
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Maybe. I mean,
I'm tired. I can't think.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's that simple. But I'm losing my mind. There still are other books, but are those other books within this book? Is this a story? Is this just a story where a guy realizes he's a character in the final chapter of a fictional writer's stories that's going to bring about the end of the world by bringing back an ancient race of monsters? And in which case you can just keep going deeper and deeper and drive yourself fucking nuts.
Now that's a Twilight Zone talking about that. That's like a Twilight Zone episode. Somebody being a character in a book and not realizing it.
Yeah, and that's what this almost feels like at times. But that, certainly Lovecraft feels.
Maybe it is just that. Maybe it's just a nod to Lovecraft throughout, and it's a Twilight Zone type story.
You're right
I don't
about
know.
Brian, though. I know you. I
Yeah,
know he'd be somebody who.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him about it, if he thinks that's it, and how he feels about this.
Yeah.
How about the guy KMB with the effects are great?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We didn't mention anything about that. All that stuff is really good when we see it. I like the way he exited when Sutter Kane exited the film and his character went away. That was done well.
That part I liked.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I don't know what it was. I have nothing against what's the guy's name? Jurgen Prochnow. What Prochnow? I can't say his fucking name.
No clue.
Jurgen Prochnow, whatever. Whatever. The guy who played Sutter Kane. I don't know. I just wasn't really engaged in the scenes with him, and it should have been. Maybe it felt a little too nightmarish. I didn't like the setting of it. I almost wish it was like it played out in a more grounded reality in like the setting where John Trent was in. So it was a little bit more confusing. I felt like it almost kind of, with the exception of seeing the monsters in Hobbs End, I felt like it almost kind of fell apart because it just became so nightmarish that you knew this wasn't real, or you knew this was just a nightmare descending on the world. So it just gave too much of a sense of doom rather than playing it a little bit more subtle. I don't know. I know what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking is coming out in any sort of coherent manner. Like Dave said, I am too getting a little tired.
Yeah, we're fading. Did you notice the doctor's name was Saperstein in the movie?
My dad watched it with me. My dad's like, "Hey, a Jewish doctor."
Another guy from Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah,
Saperstein. And how about when they were playing the song, "We've Only Just Begun"? And it was the Carpenters.
Yeah,
do you think he did that on purpose?
Yeah, definitely. Like a little.
Yeah, that was cool.
Not the Carpenters.
Yeah. And how about that one guy? I noticed him right away is UN Jefferson from The Revenge of the Nerds, the head of Lambda Lambda Lambda. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that was him. Yeah. And hey, Revenge of the Nerds. Funny you bring that up today. My wife told me right before we started recording, 35th anniversary today.
Oh, you're serious? I love that movie.
Yeah, Bernie Casey. Yeah.
But yeah, UN Jefferson was in this.
UN.
Yep. Hold it, coach. You just hold it right there.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other. We're gonna bring that back.
Nice. There you go.
Anyway,
I
don't know. Like, I mean, so the mind fuck took you out of the movie. Then is what you're trying to say, B?
I think it became too convoluted for how I interpret the simplicity of what it ultimately played out to be. So that when I pulled back and I saw, like, okay, this is how I view it. It's like all this stuff going on in the middle. I almost kind of like lose interest in a little. And I really just didn't love Hobbs End as much as I wanted to, or as much as I remember liking in the past, because I used to be very high on this film.
I feel like I came down a little bit from where I was back in the 90s, but I feel like this movie is more consistent throughout for me than Prince of Darkness is, for that matter. So I do enjoy this a bit more. It's still not comparative to The Thing. Very few films are, but you know what? I'm high on it.
It's weird because like this is the type of film like I talked about when we were doing The Thing, is like it's open to many interpretations, and with The Thing I said that was something I changed my mind. I'm like, oh, I love that idea now where yeah, Dave said there is an answer out there. Carpenter has the answer, but we can come up with so many different ideas that can all be plausible and make sense, and one of them might be the answer. Whereas here, there's just too many explanations. It just seems too like pretentious almost. Like I read some of the reviews and listened to some YouTube channels, and people are dropping stuff that I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't even keep up with what people were talking. I'm like, what? Like, come on, this movie is not for a layman.
So what did you give it?
I'd stay where I'm at, 7.5. And I used to be much higher. I probably used to be at like a 9, but at 7.5, yeah.
And Dave?
Hey, did anybody notice when the old lady started crying towards the end of the movie for no reason when she was confronted, that whole thing? And the old lady started crying. It was ridiculous. Oh, I know what part it was. It was when they were in the bus. Remember that scene when he's in the bus and he starts flipping out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for no reason, he says something that he's sitting next to an old lady, and the old lady starts crying, and then it goes.
I thought he's because didn't he wake up from the doesn't he wake up from the dream screaming on the bus? I think she's just freaked out by him.
I think she was crying the first time, and then he woke up.
Oh.
I don't know, because my daughter pointed out. She goes, "Why is that old lady crying?" I gotta watch it again with her because
she's crying because she doesn't understand the movie either.
Well, I also called the guy on the bike, the kid on the bike that turns into the old man on the bike. I called that Carpenter on a bike because that white hair when I had things go by. Is that John Carpenter on the bike? It's not. It's someone wearing like an old age mask, but it's not him. Creature design is great. You didn't rate it though, Dave. I don't know. Did you have more notes?
Rate it. Yeah, no. I just want to talk about that lady crying because it was so funny.
I love ladies crying.
I give it 8 out of 10.
I was about where Brandon was back in the 90s. I was hovering about a 9, but I will say that I think this is more realistic. I'm at 8.5.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we're all actually pretty close.
Yeah, I know we were.
I don't know why. Like I always felt like, especially going into rewatching it this time, I felt like okay, like this could be a potential, 9.5 for me. But it'd been a while since I've seen it, and just I've never watched it for, a critique purpose, in terms of doing a review. So this time I'm watching it, and I'm watching it with a buddy, and he's really just losing interest. He's like, yeah, these dream sequences are becoming, redundant and
a few too many dream sequences. I agree.
Yeah, and I'm just, and then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well,
at the time though, they were not that. Now they're ridiculously played out, but at this time,
Yeah, I mean, I have it on Blue. Maybe if I watch it again in a few months or a year, and maybe I take a different take on it, and something clicks and I like it more. It just happens.
I just happened to click when I was escaping out of my IMDb on this movie. I noticed that the box office take it was just a quick thing. It said that Hobbs and Knobs or whatever movie's going to stay at number 1, but that's Scary
Calvin
Story.
And Hobbs?
Scary Stories. Scary Stories That Tell in the Dark looks like it's eyeing 20 million. So that's good.
Nice.
And there's another horror movie in the theater, man. Like the last 6 weeks, I don't think you could say there's not been a horror movie in the theater at the very least. Maybe even longer. Maybe even 8 weeks now.
And mostly positive reviews from people who have seen all these films.
Like when there hasn't been a time frame where we've had consistent horror films in a theater for a while. So yeah, we might be off to a slow start for the year. We're over halfway through, but I mean we got It coming out in a couple of weeks, and I think then we'll start seeing. We still have The Lighthouse. That's coming out soon, right?
Oh yeah, The Lighthouse, 3 from Hell.
Yep.
Mr. Ramman, I hope we did the Apocalypse Trilogy justice. I would love to hear your reviews. Whether ratings, whether quick synopsis reviews, whatever it may be, on our page. Let us know what you think as well. We appreciate you putting this out there for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man.
Absolutely.
Yep. For sure. Lots of fun. Glad everybody chipped in. Thanks, everybody, for the kind words. Thanks for supporting us. We love you guys. We're going to try to, go back to our old schedule, right?
Yeah. It's always the goal for us to do a show every 2 weeks and put out 2 shows a month. When shit happens and life gets in the way, it's not us ducking out and trying to, be shady and just, kind of hide and take your money. It's not that. We're just, it's genuine issues.
We'll do that. I have no problem just taking your money, but
I'll take your money, but we're not taking these long breaks from recording because we just want to break. We're doing it because other things are getting in the way.
Right, and we got stuff. These are the next 5 shows. Hopefully, there was a time when I said they're going to be once a month, but we're gonna hopefully do before. But next show is going to be we're going to have the Ringu trilogy. We're going to be talking the Triple R's are going to be Devil and Starry Eyes.
Nice.
Yeah, and October or not October, and the show after that, show 86 is going to be movies, Mantango, Cure, and Premonition, and then Grave Encounters 1 and 2 for Triple R's. Then episode 87, we're going to talk about Nightbreed, The Descent, and Videodrome as our features. Yep. And then we're going to be talking 2 Triple R's, Pigs and Hell Night. And episode 88 is 1988, The Year in Horror, 10 mini reviews of 1988. And then episode 89 is the last of our non-horror shows, because it's not going to be a Patreon perk anymore by the time this comes. That's going to be episode 89, Dancer in the Dark, The Hunt, and Dear Zachary.
Holy shit. Get your tissues ready for that show.
Oh, Masturbation Fest?
Yeah.
And, of course, there'll be a couple of other reviews on that. I just haven't had that filled out yet. But that's what we're going to do, and when those are the next 5 shows. So hopefully those 5 shows aren't going to take 5 months. Hopefully it's going to be 5 shows in, 3 months max.
Absolute
we're going to restructure. Absolute Dave. So, all right, we got to get out of here, man. But thanks, everybody. We love you guys. Yeah. Sorry we've been gone so long, but it won't happen again. And if it does, there won't be any more damn shows. So...
we don't want that to happen. Good night, everybody. No. Thanks for listening. See ya in the funny bin.